Hello and welcome back everyone. Let's go ahead. We are in the fourth and final session with respect to our introduction, that is rates of tax. If we start today's class with this point 6, my first question to you is going to be, this is point 6 of what? Baki sab baat mein. Point 6 of what? What? New regime, individual section 202, where we have understood eligible assessee of section 202. We have understood how to exercise the option about no alternate minimum tax being applicable. Normally old regime mein AMT is applicable to others and MAT is applicable to companies. So here AMT is not going to be applicable. Very importantly, the rates of tax also we have finished. 4 ka table, 5 ka table, hello. So we are done with the rates of tax as well. So now what is left? If this is point number 6 under individual, please guess at least the heading of this point number 6. What should be or what is going to be the heading of this point number 6? The tax benefits to be foregone by an individual if that individual is desirous of paying tax as per section 202. Section 202 in the old act was 115 BAC, individual ka section. 115 BAC mein you were supposed to forego certain tax benefits. The same tax benefits, revised section numbering as per the new act, certain tax benefits will have to be foregone. Now this is going to be a long list, about 16-17 points hai ye list. Okay, one by one we will discuss what are these points, but there is one common link in all these points. It's a tax benefit. Tax benefit can be of two types. You can have something called an exemption, you can have something called a deduction. What is common in an exemption and deduction? It reduces your income chargeable to tax. Ye correct hai? But if you are not eligible to avail it, so what will happen to your taxable income? Your taxable income will increase, and on that increased amount of taxable income, we will apply the reduced tax rate. कौन सा वाला reduced rate? 4 lakh, 8 lakh, 12 lakh. Hello? 0 to 4, 4 to 8. What are the tax benefits that are to be foregone if an assessee is paying tax as per new regime? Ye individual wala list. See, subsequently we have to do, if you remember, 4 more sections and finish this chapter. Which are the 4 sections that we have to do after this? 200 and 201 for companies and 203, 204 for resident cooperative society. Correct hai? We also have a list over there, but actually my individual ka list is bigger. You know, the other sections, the list is only 7-8 points, because individual mein all the salary related tax benefits which you are going to forego, you understand they can exist only in the individual wala section and not exist in the company and cooperative ka section, because वैसे भी they are not eligible. So individual se related following thing. See, some of them you may remember on the basis of what you have studied at intermediate, and most of you all have been taught really well at intermediate that you still that you still remember the things that you studied at intermediate. So it is possible that you remember. If not possible, quickly I will tell you. Okay, there was an exemption of daily allowance and constituency allowance for public representative. Public representative matlab MP and MLA. Section 1017 करके एक section था in the old act in which this was exempt. I told you in the first class they have removed ये section 10 का concept. All the exemptions they have kept in the schedules. एक table बना के list they have given. Following people, following incomes are going to be exempt. So MPs and MLAs, member of parliament, member of legislative assembly, get daily allowance when the parliament is in session, and they get constituency allowance to spend for the people of their area who have voted for them. Many a times you will come across garden, park, etc. This area has been beautified by the fund provided by MP Shri so and so, yeah, MLA Shri so and so. That is called constituency allowance. All that is fully exempt, but that exemption will be given only under the. यही तो concept है. That new regime में you won't get this exemption. मतलब if you are MP, MLA opting for new regime, the daily allowance and constituency allowance will be taxable. Then only we will give you the concessional rate of tax. The funda of this list is clear. So very quickly we will have to complete the list. Next, there was an exemption called leave travel allowance, also known as leave travel concession under salary. Money given to buy tickets of a holiday. Actual था, amount spent, and then amount notified in rules on the basis of mode of journey, journey by air, other modes. Do you remember? Tickets purchased for self or family. That exemption will not be allowed in the new regime. One of the easiest which people can relate to, house rent allowance. In the old act, it was section 1013A. Actual 50% or 40% of salary based on the place of house, and rent paid minus 10% of salary, whichever is lower. Yaad hai? This exemption is not going to be allowed in the new regime. If you are parent of a minor child, so there is going to be some income that will be clubbed in your income. Hello? You remember this? What was the exemption that the parent got? 1,500 per annum per child, no matter how nominal it is. The point is that new regime के अंदर ये exemption not allowed. This exemption will be given only in the old regime. So the parent of minor child will not be eligible for getting this exemption in the new regime. Do you remember this exemption? बस salary से related, no, we can have more discussion right now, because salary as a chapter is not a part of your syllabus anymore. So we can discuss these things in case you don't remember. But if we talk about the deduction, for example, additional depreciation, I won't spend time in explaining it to you right now. You may remember that additional depreciation is extra deduction for manufacturer. You may not remember, it is okay. PGBP is a part of our syllabus. So वैसे भी additional depreciation is going to be covered. So the deductions which we are going to cover any which way in some other chapter, I won't spend too much of time here right now, because वैसे भी as we do the chapters, you will understand all of them. But salary se related we need to focus right now, because salary may not come in our discussion. Again, salary is not in your syllabus. वैसे we will have to wait for the new study material to be released by ICAI. Till last year, salary, house property were removed from CA का syllabus. 2024, 25, 26 they did not. 23 तक it was there. 24 onwards module में से they removed it. Now in the new act, maybe they want you to learn salary, house property again as per the new act. Change कुछ भी नहीं. If I tell you what is the change, children education allowance का 100 rupees per month has become 3,000 per month. Children hostel allowance का 300 rupees per month has become 9,000 ऐसा कुछ rupees per month. वो जो टिफिन अलावेंस का 50 rupees per meal का exemption था, फूड परक्यूसिट का, that has become 200 rupees per. Subtle changes have taken place. Maybe for knowledge of that, they keep it in your syllabus. If they keep it, I will cover it. But भले 2-3 extra lectures we take, I will cover it. If it is a part of your syllabus, it will be covered. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, chalo, let's go ahead. Next, in salary, there was this section 1014. Obviously, as of now, nothing is kept in the section; it is kept in the schedule. But 1014, anyone remembers? Salary का है, इसके लिए I want to discuss it. Section number से तो वैसे भी, it had two categories. One was exemption based on expenditure. Another was fixed amount. Fixed amount मतलब वही education allowance, hostel allowance, tribal area allowance 200 per month. Now you remember? Transport allowance for disabled handicapped employee 3,200 rupees per month. Abhi faint memories mein, do you remember these things? So that was section 1014. That won't be allowed. For example, we had some expenditure based helper. There was an allowance called helper allowance. There was an allowance called uniform allowance. There was an allowance called academic pursuit allowance. The tax exemption in these allowances was what? The amount spent will be considered as exempt. So if your boss is giving you 1 lakh ka helper allowance and you are spending 90,000 on that helper, only 10,000 will be taxable. Expenditure based exemption wala concept. Expenditure based exemption. Do you recollect this? These exemptions will not be allowed in the new regime. And in the same section, there were some amount based exemption also. Amount based exemption क्या था पता है? Children education allowance, children hostel allowance. Now you remember this? There was this allowance called daily allowance for transport department का employees. if the employer is a transporter, he will give daily allowance to his employees. उसका exemption था 70% of the amount received or 10,000 per month, whichever is low. नहीं याद है? Not a problem. Now, salary honestly is not in your syllabus. ये तो I am discussing the list of exemptions to be foregone. If you are an employee of a transporter, that daily allowance का exemption which is given in the old regime will not be allowed in the new regime. Concept वो है. Did you understand this? Hello. But then here is where as a salaried employee, exam के लिए नहीं, but sooner or later if you are a salaried employee, you got to be very very careful about this particular aspect. This rule has got exceptions. मतलब normally वो expenditure based and amount based exemptions only in the old regime, not allowed in the new regime. Children education allowance का, children hostel allowance का, all those exemptions will not be allowed in the new regime, but the following will be allowed. Exceptions मतलब क्या? Exceptions means the following will be allowed in new regime too. ये मिलेगा मतलब these are those exemptions which you can take in the old regime के new regime, both old में तो everything is allowed, no, following will be allowed also in the new regime. ये कौन सा था? In section 1014 of the old act, starting में on the left side you had something called tour, travel, transport allowance, transport नहीं है, sorry, tour, travel. I'll make you recollect. Your boss is sending you a note. सुनो, audit में काम करने वाले लोग, oh outstation audit, hi, outstation, months and months से किसी और ही city में they are. तो एक बात बताओ, I have this question for you. Now, this is typically a question which people sitting online also have to interact with me. First of all, online permitted ही नहीं है unless there is an emergency. Was there an emergency today? I believe I come from the farthest place. उससे ज्यादा दूर कोई है मेरे से ज्यादा? No. So it was not difficult to come to class today. Okay, it was possible. So now, my question is, those who have been lying in some other city for months and months and not able to attend any class, when you have gone on this outstation audit, Ansh तू बोलेगा outstation audit पे है ना? तो tell me one thing, वो audit पे जाने के लिए whatever expenditure took place, ट्रेन का या एयर का टिकट या होटल का स्टे, वो फूड एक्सेट्रा, वो सब you are paying from your own pocket, no? From your stipend का money? नहीं? Are they paying for it? वो अलावेंस का exemption था. Boss will give you 1 lakh rupees to go on a tour, to travel for office work. उसमें से 80,000 spent on that tour, so 20,000 is going to be taxable. This was the exemption that we are talking about. Now tell me one thing, this expenditure was incurred for office purpose only. तो इसको कैसे भी make taxable? Think about it. We can't make this amount taxable. So this exemption, irrespective of regime, whether old regime or new regime, will continue to be allowed. Tour, travel, transfer allowance. Your boss was giving you something called CA students can relate with this more than anything else. At least once in your career, do this, huh? Travel by bus and in the voucher ride auto. Because if you have not done this manipulation, you are not learning seriously in articleship. This is one of the most important things to learn in articleship. At least once you do it, not for cheating but for learning. Correct hai? That conveyance allowance amount spent will be exempt irrespective of regime, whether old regime or new regime. And over and above this, these were expenditure based. तो वैसे भी ऑफिस का एक्सपेंडिचर है, you have to give me the exemption. There was this one more thing which we want to, protect these people. Transport allowance का exemption which was given to someone who is a disabled employee, handicapped employee, you call them divyang employee. 3,200 rupees per month का एक exemption था, which we want to give whether you are in the old regime or the new regime. Old regime or new regime, this exemption we want to give. ये समझा? That means, what is this list? वैसे the points that we are writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are exemptions which were allowed in the old regime and not allowed in the But the list that we have written here, they are exceptions. Exceptions matlab they will be allowed whether you are paying tax as per the old regime or the new regime. Individual का section है, तो lots of exemptions related to individual. Think about it, allowances का etc. exemptions या minor child का clubbing can't be something applicable to companies or cooperative society. So the moment we go to companies and cooperative society वाला section, the list will become half, and all will come from this one. आप समझा? There are some non-individual related exemptions. Yeah, deduction, additional depreciation, scientific research, specified business. That is whether you are individual or others. So only that part of this list will be copied in that other sections ka tax benefits to be foregone. Because this is individual, the list is the biggest of all. Point number 6 of list of tax benefits to be foregone by an individual who is paying tax as per new regime. Professional tax paid. From your salary income, from your gross salary, you are eligible for 3 deductions in the old regime. You were eligible for 3 deductions in the old regime. Deduction number 1, standard deduction, correct? Deduction number 2, entertainment allowance, eligible only for government employees. Actual 1/5 of basic salary or 5,000, whichever is lower. And third was tax on employment, professional tax paid to the state government, only if paid. That professional tax paid का deduction which is allowed in the old regime will not be allowed in the new regime. मतलब out of 3 deductions, 1 is not permitted. वो समझा? Sir, what about the other 2? Let's talk about them one by one. If we talk about standard deduction first of all, very interesting history. Huh? First time when new regime was introduced, standard deduction was allowed in the old regime, not allowed in the new regime. But that became a factor of comparison. People were hesitating to go to the new regime. People today also are hesitating. So, to make the new regime look attractive, what did they do? Standard deduction पहले permit किया, बोला it will be allowed whether old regime or new regime. पहले permit किया, allowed whether old or new. Still people were not going to the new regime. So, to make the new regime look even more attractive, and mark my words, not make it attractive, only make it look attractive, standard deduction is going to be allowed. In fact, higher amount hai. Why do I say higher amount? Because in the old regime it is actually 50,000 is safe to say but not exactly correct. Reason kya hai? It is your actual salary or 50,000 whichever is low. एक तो वी आर अज्यूमिंग के यार फुल ईयर का सैलरी विल बी मोर देन 50 होगा, ब्रो फुल ईयर का सैलरी अगर लेस देन 50 है तो छोड़ना, क्या ओल्ड रेजिम, क्या यू आर नॉर्मल लॉस, समझा? ऑब्वियसली सैलरी विल बी मोर देन 50, सो वी सेफली से 50,000. अरे समझा क्या? हेलो. बट इन द न्यू रेजिम डिड वी से वी आर गिविंग हायर लिमिट? एक्चुअल सैलरी और 75,000 whichever is lower. मतलब सैलरी में there are totally 3 deductions. Standard deduction allowed in both, in fact new में higher, correct? Second deduction कौन सा? Entertainment allowance. Let's discuss this also. It was applicable only to government employees. Anyone government employee at home? अभी भी है? कौन? किसमें? Oh yeah, how can I forget that? हाँ, सुनो, sorry but fight with auntie if you have to. In the new act, entertainment allowance का entertainment allowance का concept is, अरे entertain allowance नहीं होता है बाबा, mistake है भाई, I am rectifying. Entertainment allowance is, the deduction is only abolished. जब deduction is only abolished, there is no question, no new के old. मतलब standard deduction allowed in both, new में higher. Entertainment allowance is abolished, no question whether old or new. And third, professional tax paid का deduction will be allowed in the old regime, not allowed in the new regime. That effectively becomes the fundamental difference between old regime and new regime as far as deductions against your salary income are concerned. ये clear हुआ everyone? Point number 7 of which list? Tax benefits to be foregone for any individual who is opting for section 202. the deduction under section 22 subsection 1 clause B will not be allowed. Deduction है, will not be allowed. Hello, now what's your question? 22(1)B sir, न्यू एक्ट का 22(1)B you are writing, इधर ओल्ड एक्ट का हमको मालूम नहीं. ओके, ट्राई करते हैं. इन दी ओल्ड एक्ट दिस वाज सेक्शन 24B. इंटरेस्ट, हाउस प्रॉपर्टी का इंटरेस्ट, बट कंडीशन ये है दैट इफ इट इज सेल्फ ऑक्यूपाइड प्रॉपर्टी, इंटरेस्ट का डिडक्शन विल नॉट बी. Self occupied property, let out even for 1 day, then let out property. SOP, now use your brain. SOP zero income, only interest ka deduction. That interest ka deduction becomes a loss. That loss you use for set off against other heads, not allowed. But as a clarification, if the restriction is only on SOP, if they are mentioning only SOP, whether it is written or not written, it is only a clarification. And makes sense, think about it. LOP में you are showing income. So if you are showing income, we have got no problem in giving you deduction. Do you remember this? SOP में interest there was a limit, precisely because there was no income. New regime में वो allowed in. LOP में they have played a very smart game. यहाँ पे it looks like they are lenient. हाँ, LOP में income you are showing, तो interest का deduction also you will get. Limited के unlimited? LOP में unlimited. But unlimited होके भी, if it becomes a loss, later there is a point. House property loss will lapse. देखो SOP में loss is not possible. Be clear about that. New regime में SOP में loss is not possible. If you are clear about that, I will go further. क्यों? That only deduction which is allowed is disqualified. So if at all there will be loss, it will be where? LOP में there can be or there will be a loss. बोलो yes or no? Hello. That loss will not be allowed to be adjusted against anything else. That loss will not be allowed to be carried forward also. That means LOP में if it is allowed also, it's of no use. अरे समझा क्या? Hello. That means while on paper it looks like only SOP में they are not giving you benefit, but in effect शायद LOP also not allowed. What is the only possibility where LOP में you can get benefit? 100 का income है, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 99, 100 का interest to the extent of making it zero, वो चलेगा. If your interest is 101, even if it is unlimited, that loss will lapse. And SOP में loss not possible only because deduction only is not allowed. समझा क्या? तो as of now what will you learn? Self occupied property का interest का deduction is not going to be allowed. Next, section 33 subsection 8. It's okay, no problem. Additional depreciation, ये comfortable है? Additional depreciation as a deduction is allowed for manufacturers in the old regime, not allowed in the new regime. Old act में it was section 32 subsection 1 clause 2 है. Section number छोड़ दो, section 33(8) additional depreciation not allowed. लेकिन सुनो, so confusion या clarification? Hello, normal depreciation on your assets owned and used for the purpose of business. Normal depreciation is going to be allowed. What is disqualified? Only additional depreciation. Now we have about a couple of sections which are deductions in PGBP. Please listen. PGBP का deduction मतलब with this deduction your taxable business income will reduce. Hello, but this deduction will be allowed only in the old regime, not allowed in the new regime. Why I cannot discuss this 48 and 49 right now? Section 48, section 49 right now, because PGBP में in intermediate these sections were not in syllabus. There were so many sections of PGBP which were removed from your syllabus. So these sections you have never studied before. We will learn in PGBP first time when we study PGBP in CA final. So there was a section 33AB in the old act which you have not studied because वो इंटर में syllabus में नहीं था. Any assessee who is in these businesses, कौन सा business? Tea, coffee or rubber, you have to transfer some amount in a special account called tea, coffee, rubber development account. something similar to SEZ reinvestment reserve, something similar to transfer of money to statutory reserves. अगर accounts में कहीं पर you have studied these adjustments, उसका you get a tax deduction. But here right now I am not explaining the section. What is the only clarification? That this tax deduction will be given only in the old regime and not given in the new regime. And similarly, if you are in the business of site restoration, extraction and exploration activities, so similar transfer has to be done in that account called site restoration development account. In दोनों का deduction is allowed in the old regime, not allowed in the new regime. Right now, if you don't know it, absolutely no problem, because PGBP में we will be learning these sections right now. If you understand this much, ये एक deduction will reduce your taxable income, but it will reduce only in the old regime, not allowed in the new regime. More than that, nothing is required. Is that understood? चलो, so let's go ahead. Next, list of exemptions and deductions to be foregone for paying tax as per the new regime. Section 45, subsection 3, clause ABC. नहीं जम रहा है सब. Okay, no problem. I won't write it. I will speak orally. Section 35 of the old act. Scientific research. Fantastic. See if you remember the following things. Scientific research का section had many subparts. Starting में था expenditure for own business, capital and revenue 100% deduction. Then subsequent parts of the section were contribution given to scientific research association, contribution given for statistical or social science research, contribution given to national laboratory IIT, donations to external organizations. So whatever you incur for your own business, that will be allowed, and whatever you are giving as donations, that will not be allowed. Own business का deduction is given in section 45 subsection 1. अभी सुनो, ऑब्जर्व करो, what is disallowed. 45 subsection 3 मतलब whenever you are giving any kind of donations for scientific research to third party organizations, they will not be allowed. मतलब if you are spending for your own business, that will be allowed. मैं clarify करता हूँ. Section 45 subsection 1 is expenditure for own business. What is prohibited in the new regime? 45(3) donations given. But what will be allowed? 45(1) expenditure incurred to run your own business. Difference समझा? एक और है सर. You may ask this question, sir. तो what is 45(2)? There was this subpart of section 35. Indian company doing in-house research and development. In-house research and development का 100% deduction of capital revenue expense. But do you realize then 45 subsection 2 is a deduction for companies, and we are right now doing section 202. Hello. If you want, I will explain this. Otherwise, you tell me. I'll go to the next point. You want explanation के समझा? 45 subsection 2, which is applicable to companies, cannot be discussed in 202 because 202 is applicable to, come on, individual, HUF, AOP, BOI. तो वैसे भी not applicable. तो understand. We have 45, 1, 2 and 3. 1 is own business, allowed in old and new both regimes. 2 is for companies, not applicable in this section. Company के section में we will discuss. 3 is donations given to other parties. That will be allowed in the old regime, disqualified in the new regime. पूरा picture clear? Scientific research का section number has changed. Internal data remains absolutely same as what you have studied in the old act. उसमें there is no amendment. Next, section 46. Again, I just have to tell you the section number of the old act. Most of you all will recollect what this is. Old act में this was section 35 AD. आओ deduction दो. Specified business, investment linked deduction. 14 specified businesses. Warehousing of agriculture produce, cold chain facility, hotel of 2-star and above, hospital with minimum 100 beds, laying and operating across country petroleum and natural gas pipeline network. याद आता है? 3580 100% deduction of capital expenditure not allowed in the new regime. मतलब सुनो, old regime में you will get 100% deduction, but you will lose depreciation if you remember. न्यू रेजिम में यू वोंट गेट दिस डिडक्शन, ऑब्वियसली ऑन दैट एसेट यू कैन क्लेम डेप्रिसिएशन का डिडक्शन. रिलेशन समझा? फैंटास्टिक. नेक्स्ट, अगेन दिस इज अ पीजीबीपी डिडक्शन. सो इफ यू आर ऑब्जर्विंग, last few points are PGBP related. Starting में all the points were salary related. Last few points are PGBP related. Subsequently, towards the second part of today's class, when we move to companies and cooperative society का section 200, 201, 203, 204, ये जो second part में जो deduction है ना, they all will get repeated over there. Because business related deductions will be disqualified or disallowed. Individual वाला points will be inapplicable over there. Are you following? तो ये सब पीजीबीपी रिलेटेड है. नाउ द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज फ्रॉम द चैप्टर पीजीबीपी. दिस इज द सेक्शन नंबर ऑफ द न्यू एक्ट. आई वोंट टेल यू द सेक्शन नंबर ऑफ द ओल्ड एक्ट बिकॉज दिस ऑल्सो, लाइक टी कॉफी रबर एंड साइट रिस्टोरेशन, इट वॉज नॉट इन इंटर का सिलेबस एंड देयरफॉर यू मे नॉट नो ओनली अबाउट दिस. इफ एन assessee is incurring expenditure on agriculture extension project. Sir, सुनो, the people who are doing agriculture are not supposed to pay any tax. Hello? Agriculture extension business का income is taxable. What is agriculture extension business? Supporting activities. Transportation of agriculture goods. Manufacturing of tractors. Maybe running a coaching class where you're teaching how to do farming. क्या ये सब agriculture है? No. मतलब is their income taxable? Yes. In that taxable income they get a very big amount of deduction. 100% of all capital and revenue expense. That is section 47 subsection 1 clause A. Is that a big deduction? Same as 3580, to be very honest. That deduction will not be allowed if you are paying tax as per the new regime. Point वही है ना, the deduction which will be disqualified. This also has a clause B. सुनना ध्यान से. That clause B का deduction says only for companies. Now you know why we are not writing it here. Because here it is not applicable. Company का जब करेंगे ना, there they have said 47 1A 1B both not allowed. Because whatever is relevant that is written in the section. Clause B is inapplicable here because companies are not covered here. Relation पूरा का पूरा clearly समझ में आया क्या? Okay. Next. If you observe what is happening till now, section 202 के अंदर, okay, so many exemptions and deductions gone. Unless you are a salaried employee who will lose HRA, leave travel allowance, professional tax is ridiculous, 2,500 per year. Doesn't matter, मतलब irrelevant amount है. But tax exemption of leave travel allowance, tax exemption of house rent allowance, these are amounts that can make you suffer if you go into the new regime. But supposingly you are not a salaried employee. You realize HRA, leave travel allowance, someone like me who has only PGBP, I don't have income from salary. This section till now has not made any difference to me. Think about it. Unless you are in job, 202 has not affected. Additional depreciation. Then क्या manufacture करता है CA? Where is the question? You understand? Where and how will people like you and me, we garib middle class people, if you open your front camera, final में you are allowed to take your mobiles in class? सुबह सुबह 7 बजे who will take care of your phones? So open your front camera and look at yourself in that front camera and examine the probability of having hospital with 100 beds for patients. अरे see ये तो कर. You understand this section hasn't affected you and me till now. अभी मरेंगे. Full on. We are gone. Because ladies and gentlemen, all chapter 8 चैप्टर लिखिए यार, ऑल चैप्टर 8 डिडक्शंस. सर ये चैप्टर 8 क्या? ऑल चैप्टर 8 डिडक्शंस gone. This I am interested in writing so that you are able to relate it. This was your chapter 6A deduction as per the old act. So chapter 6A deduction of the old act has become chapter 8. Your 80C has become 123. There used to be 180 CCD, notified pension scheme, that is 124. There was one CCH, Agniveer Corpus Fund, that is 125. ATD medical insurance has become 126. 123 से 154 तक, something which is applicable to almost all of us. 80U करके last section of chapter 6 से is section 154, last section of chapter 8. The content is almost, some sections they have added this year, new sections in that, I don't know, 128 amendments. So there are some additions, but most of the sections, including the quantum, even today 80C, which is 123 actual or 1,50,000, whichever is lower, 80D के अंदर normal limit 25,000, senior citizen resident हुआ तो 50,000, medical expenditure if you don't have any insurance, सब कुछ same है. Section numbers have changed, but then one thing which middle class, you and me, will suffer is that 80C का, which is 123 का 1,50,000, या that medical insurance का 50,000, या 25 for us, and अगर parents का 50 provided they are senior citizen, so that 75,000 का deduction. If we are eligible for disability वाला 1,25,000, bank interest वाला saving account में 10,000, या senior citizen के लिए भी है 50,000. Gone. All chapter 8 deductions gone. This is where middle class will suffer the most. मतलब two things will affect everyone. Chapter 8, and if I have taken a home loan में it will be SOP. SOP में there will be interest का deduction which I will not get. And SOP का 2 lakh का loss helps me to reduce my other taxable income. 2 lakh allowed है ना? But that is not going to be allowed. So that 2 lakh का benefit gone, and chapter 8 का so many lakhs का benefit gone. Now you will have to compare this total with your old regime and new regime का income comparison. मतलब take your income as per new regime, reduce the total that you are losing, that will become your income as per the old regime, and calculate tax on both. Today if we compare tax as per old regime on 24 lakh 5,32,500 and tax as per new regime on 24 lakh is exact 3 lakh, that is wrong comparison, because income can't be 24 lakh in both regimes. If income as per old regime, if income as per new regime is 24, so income as per old regime will be some 15-16 lakh rupees. Comparison should be done in that way by considering all these tax benefits. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, chapter 8 deductions will not be allowed. However, here also there are some exceptions. There were these exceptions even when you were in inter. You may or may not remember, but मैं वैसे भी section numbers have changed. तो मैं लिख के I'll tell you one by one. मतलब one thing that you should understand that I don't want to explain now, that exception मतलब these are chapter 8 deductions which will be allowed even in the new regime. Other than these 2-3 exceptions, any chapter 8 deduction, whether it is your life insurance, medical insurance, disability, bank interest, nothing will be allowed in the new regime. Main primary target वो है. Is that clear to you? What is the list of tax benefits that will be allowed as exception from chapter 8? 1. Section 124 subsection 1 and section 124 subsection 2. This is contribution to NPS, notified pension scheme. But सुनो, which contribution? Employer का contribution. Notified pension scheme में there will be 2 contributions, own and employer. Please pay attention. Own वाला is now covered in 123 because ये, you know, those who remember एकदम detail में the old act now will understand what I am saying. There was 80C plus 80CCC plus 80CCD subsection 1. वो total के ऊपर we used to put limit of, मतलब 80CCD में there was subsection 1B and subsection 2. उसके ऊपर we did not have that 1,50,000 का limit. So what they have done is 80CCD1 which is own contribution, उसको they have merged with the life insurance का section because वैसे भी on that total there was 150 का limit. But 80CCD का जो employer contribution था subsection 2, that they have kept in the other section 124. In other words, subsection 1 of 80CCD has gone in 123 and will suffer that total का limit over there. And subsection 2 which was employer contribution has come in 124 because this is employer contribution. Please pay attention. This money has not come in my hands. Employer has put directly the money in NPS. Still it is getting added in my income from salary. So add in the salary and from the total take deduction, and this deduction will be given whether you are in the old regime or new regime. By the way, for those who don't remember the quantum, let me help you with that. First of all, employer contribution ka deduction. So is that clear? Own contribution ka deduction is not eligible in the new regime. Employer contribution ka rule aisa hai that in the new regime the limit is higher. It is actual contribution or 14% of salary. whichever is lower. Old regime में the limit is 10% of salary, 10% of salary, 12% provident fund में था. This is NPS. Old regime में it is 10%. New में दो thing, एक तो deduction allowed, ऊपर से higher. हाँ, but if you are a government employee, please listen. Whether old regime or new regime, दोनों में it is 14% only, because government employees always get higher tax benefits. So old or new, in both it is 14. We are talking about private sector. New regime में it is allowed and limit will also be higher. Likewise, section 125 subsection 2, again you need to be very, very careful, because section 125 has got subsection 1 also. Subsection 1 will be allowed only in the old regime, 2 will be allowed in the old as well as new regime, because this is also on similar lines. Employer contribution to the Agniveer Corpus Fund. This was also an exception when you studied for CA Inter, and I think 23 के budget में आया था. तो those who have studied for May 24 onwards, maybe they are aware of what I am talking about. Contribution to Agniveer Corpus Fund under the Agnipath scheme. You all know about this scheme? क्योंकि क्या, if you don't know it or if you don't have any idea absolutely about it, then take clarification. ऐसा नहीं हो कि today after class you go and start chat GPT को कि क्या अग्निपथ स्कीम क्या होता है. You have some idea about it? Armed forces में recruitment will now happen. 75% recruitment will happen through the Agnipath scheme. Youth in the age gap of 17 to 21 will be enrolled in that Agnipath scheme. We will give you a job, and after 4 years compulsory retirement. मतलब no permanent job in Indian Armed Forces. Everyone has to retire after 4 years. Why? Problem क्या होता है? That once someone joins through National Defense Academy, please understand, so you get some rank over there, then it's your lifetime army ka job. One day you retire and we have to give you pension forever. And armed forces, Shri Ram, cow, farmers, these are sensitive topics in our country. I repeat, armed forces, Shri Ram, cow, farmers, these are sensitive topics. So you have to be very careful when you deal with armed forces. One wrong comment here and there can invite backlash. Now, because Gujus are running the country at the top, the most powerful two people, Gujus, the two richest people, wherever you go, you'll find Gujus. They don't want to waste money. According to them, paying pension to armed forces is waste of money. Why? War तो लड़ भाई. Last war took place 1999 में कारगिल. वो last year जो हुआ था, that was not war. That was like warm up. मारू नहीं ऐसे. That was not a war, by the way, what happened last year. Just imagine 1999 में कारगिल का war हुआ. You are in your school days, ऐसा you are like नहीं, I will also join army. School से clear होके निकल के you join, National Defense Academy. You get posting in the Indian Army in 2005. Listen, 20 years तक you are working in the Indian Army. 2025 में you retire. And what if I tell you that in these 20 years, India has not fought any war? What if I tell you in these 20 years, India has not fought any war? ये पता है आपको? Hello, एक second. Just imagine, now that they will retire, we have to pay them lifetime pension without fighting any war. We don't want to pay them. Government knows कि वैसे भी world is going through those times that fighting wars is not good for the economy of any country. So why give permanent jobs? Don't give permanent job. Recruit something called Agniveer. Agniveer will work for 4 years. After 4 years, compulsory retirement. During those 4 years, we will give you salary. Think about it. The person who is getting enrolled is called Agniveer. The scheme under which you are getting enrolled is called Agnipath scheme. And for that scheme, we will create a corpus fund called Agniveer Corpus Fund. What is the role of this fund? अब वो समझ लो. Because I saw a few faces who don't know what this scheme, especially those who studied for November 23 exam at intermediate, they may not know, because जितना I remember it came from May 24 onwards. Correct है ना? हाँ. So now you are following what is happening. What is the role of this corpus fund? They are saying, सुन, Central government is the employer. You are the Agniveer. Take salary. Is that taxable income? Over and above salary, in this fund, we will give you some money every month, every year during those 4 years of job. That is called employer contribution in the fund. You want to contribute, you can also contribute. Create a corpus. 4 years later, compulsory retirement. This corpus fund is your pension. Take this, get lost, no further pension. ये है अग्निपथ स्कीम. So that permanent pension ka responsibility does not come. Now during those 4 years ka period, is the employee contributing from taxable salary? That is subsection 1 ka deduction. That is voluntary contribution. So you will get in the old regime but not get in the new regime. But wo employer ka jo contribution hai na, now what is the problem here? It is getting added in the taxable salary. But the employee is not receiving the money, it is going in the fund. So add in salary and minus in the deductions. And this is not in the employee ka control. Isliye whether old regime or new regime, subsection 2, the employer contribution will be allowed in both regimes, old regime as well as new regime. And together employee plus interest, that corpus after 4 years is something that you can take as your pension and get lost forever. Why were protests across the country? People were on the streets. There were riots when Agnipath scheme was announced for various reasons. One, are you not making a very, very weak army? Think about it. 25 years later, the person with maximum experience will be 4 years. What if actually there is a war at that time? Second, when a child is born in Rajasthan, Marwadi, we say bachcha dukan jayega. When a child is born in Bihar, the child is told that you will grow up and become IAS. When a child is born in Bengal, we tell the child you will grow up and become an artist. When the child is born in Punjab, Haryana, that child is told that you have to grow up and join the Indian Army. Their parents give them that kind of food. By the age of 5, they start physical training for joining the army. Only to 15 years later realize that you will not get a permanent job. Then what have I spent my entire life for? This was my childhood dream, to be army wala, uniform wala officer. Now what about that dream? Because you're not giving me a permanent job. People were on the streets. And the third factor, very important again. When you are choosing people in the age gap of 17 to 21, if you put a little pressure on your brain, you will realize what you did when you were between 17 to 21 is going to decide the rest of your life. Your decisions, your actions, your behavior in this age gap is going to decide your entire life. You have to agree with this. Us time pe you are recruiting them. 4 years later, in their 20s, you are telling them get lost. When someone is in their mid-20s and you tell them to get lost, they have nowhere to go. Because the people who were with them are settled already somewhere. And which is why I always say that please ensure that you clear in your first attempt so that you get 2 years to try different things. अरे यार audit में नहीं जम रहा है, चल tax में try करता हूँ. अरे यार finance try करता हूँ. Let me try for an additional professional degree. Maybe if I want to go in job only 100%. I can keep a separate counseling session for career choices subsequently. But point ye hai that if you clear at the age of 20 to 23, you can get 2-3 years for yourself to take a decision. Finally, I want to be in this or that. If you don't clear till 33, then it will be like, abhi pass ho gaya, abhi jo karwana karwa. You understand that age gap, that age ka problem where you can't do anything else. So the protest was, sir, where will these youth in their 20s go? Then they will take up to crime, because if they don't have a job, what will happen? Isme then what happened? You know, some of the state governments where the political party is same, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, where center ka political party and state ka political party is same. So chief minister has to say that my boss is always right, my boss is always the chief. Then only you get to be the chief minister. So Maharashtra ka, Madhya Pradesh ka, Chhattisgarh ka, Uttar Pradesh ka chief ministers announced that any retired Agniveer will get priority in state government jobs, so that the protests are reduced. Now, whether you agree with the scheme or disagree with the scheme, this is the scheme. Employee contribution 125 subsection 1 only in the old regime, but subsection 2 will be allowed in the old as well as new regime. Abhi suno, chapter 8 deductions ke time pe don't tell me to explain Agniveer again. See, today or that day, I was going to explain. Abhi, it is on you to now remember this explanation. Can I expect that much? Hello? And there is this one deduction, which again, classic case of IYKYK. If you know, you know. 80 double J double A. याद है क्या? Deduction for employing new workmen. अरे वो था ना 30% of additional employee cost for 3 consecutive years. We want to encourage employment generation, and consequently this deduction will be allowed whether you are paying tax as per the old regime or new regime. ये समझा क्या? हेलो. नेक्स्ट. वो ये सब केओस में some are thinking अग्निवीर स्कीम is good or bad, और उसमें ये पॉइंट क्या चल रहा है मालूम क्या? List of tax benefits to be foregone. Any loss or unabsorbed depreciation pertaining to the above. सर इसका मतलब क्या? Are you going in new regime this year? Which is why we are talking about section 202. Is it possible that last year you were in old regime? Were you eligible for additional depreciation? Just take any one example out of the above list. Above matlab it covers everything. I am just taking one example. Additional depreciation. If last year you were in the old regime, were you eligible? You took deduction of additional depreciation, but you did not have sufficient profit. What do you call it? UAD. You carry forward that loss to the current year, but current year may you decide to go to new regime. Will you get additional depreciation of the current year? No. The brought forward amount will also lapse. No deduction in the current year, no deduction of any brought forward amount with respect to the above points. Any loss or UAD pertaining to above. ये समझा? Next, हाउस प्रॉपर्टी का लॉस against other heads of income. In the old regime, it is allowed up to maximum of rupees 2 lakh. याद है? House property loss against other heads maximum 2 lakhs. New regime में not allowed. Remember SOP के time पे I told you this. तो SOP में interest not allowed only. There can't be a loss. If at all there will be loss, वो किस में होगा? LOP में, because unlimited interest is allowed. And in new regime also interest is allowed. But if it becomes a loss, it will lapse. Because set off is not allowed. मतलब effectively the only benefit is if interest is up to the income amount. ज्यादा है तो that is also of no use. And as a clarification, they further make it very clear that we want no confusion. You are not getting these benefits in the current year does not mean that you will get these benefits in the future. These benefits are going to lapse completely. Gaya khatam. So no benefit in the current year, no benefit in future years. And last and final point of tax benefits to be foregone. Any exemption with respect to allowance or perquisite. So once again salary wala point aa gaya. Any exemption of allowance or perquisite under any other law in force. For example, gratuity का exemption is allowed as per payment of gratuity act. Retrenchment compensation का exemption is allowed as per industrial disputes act. It's okay if you don't remember this, but sometimes some exemption is given in some other law. So that exemption, bro, is not going to be allowed if you're paying tax as per the new regime. Obviously, this can also come only in the individual wala section. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the first thing that we have done in today's class for the past 1 hour. The list of tax benefits to be foregone for the benefit of those who came late, logged in late. There are some who are coming late every day. I don't know why. मतलब पहले दिन में you need to estimate के भाई कितना time लगता है, क्या होता है, okay? But you know every 5-10 minutes missed. Obviously, either जरा सा the generation has become such that इफ आई टेल यू कि क्या रोज रोज लेट आता है, या वन लाउड वॉल्यूम में स्पोकन गया, नेक्स्ट डे से यू स्टॉप कमिंग. योर पेशेंस लेवल्स आर वेरी लिटल नाउ, बट अंडरस्टैंड मी स्क्रीमिंग एट यू का पर्पस इज नॉट टू एक्चुअली स्क्रीम एट यू. I am increasing my blood pressure now. My purpose is that every 10-minute missed is going to cost you. ये ऐसा मत करो. You don't tell me कि sir it is not possible. मेरे को तो बोलना ही मत, because you know very well what time I come to class. So never tell me that sir it is not possible कि पक्का लेट हो ही जाए. Okay? Plan it. No, अभी after a week it is not difficult to plan what time you have to reach class and what time you have to leave. Every 10 minutes missed will be costing you. Okay? Please make sure you don't. These are the exemptions and deductions that are allowed in the old regime, but not allowed in the. ये clear हुआ मित्रों? Now can someone tell me खाली इतना कि अभी what are we supposed to do? बाकी क्या है? जो करना है कर लो. The remaining 4 sections which are applicable to the other assessees. We have 2 sections. Section 200, a section for new taxation regime, and we have section 201, which is also a section for new regime applicable to domestic companies. We have section 203, we have section 204, which are sections applicable to resident cooperative societies. By the way, for those interested in knowing, this was 115BAA, this was 115BAB, this was 115BAD, and this was 115BAE. See क्या था? 202 individual HF. So sequence is same, order is same, but obviously now you have to learn them as 200, 201, 2, 3, 4. 2 is over. The remaining 4 we are supposed to complete. You must be thinking, sir, let's do 200 and 201 first because they are both related to companies. So they are similar. Not true, sir. Nah. 200 has got only one similarity with 201. Yeah, we have discussed all this. Assessee. Otherwise, 200 actually is same as 203. Likewise, 203 and 4 mein there is only one similarity. Assessee. But major similarity is actually between these two. These two are tax benefits for manufacturers. So if normally company ka ya cooperative society ka rate is 25%, hello, for manufacturers the rate will come down to 17%. There is 8% difference in tax rate of these two companies. An exact same difference in the tax rate of these two cooperative societies. 1 and 4 are fully same. 200 and 203 are fully same. What is the only difference? Assessing. So we won't be learning 200 and 201 together. Guess what we'll be learning together? We will be learning section 200, and along with the 200 we will actually learn 203, and then last May we will learn 1 and 4. You understand what is happening here? We will be learning these two sections together. Obviously, because a lot of similarities in them, but will there be some differences also? So system kya hoga? For the differences, we will write it like this. Let's start with something that you are aware of. Eligible assessee, domestic company, and your resident cooperative society. Do you very distinctly remember that in these 4 sections, they have specifically mentioned resident and domestic, which they have not done in the section 202, and therefore 202 will cover resident के non-resident both. समझ में आ रहा है? Hello. So if there is a difference, we will write it like this under the respective section. Hello. For example, any company paying tax as per the new regime, there will be no minimum alternate tax. One of the biggest and a very, very important feature of the new regime is MAT not applicable. But then cooperative society के section में I can't write MAT not applicable. For cooperative society का section I will have to say AMT not applicable. You understood how we will write the differences? And similarities we can write in common, no? For example, is this new taxation regime? So this is going to be optional. You can do the numbering here also so that you understand what is happening. Point 2, 1 and 2 are different, but point 3, left side, right side, same. And because it is same, that is why we are doing the sections together now. So is the new regime optional? Can they decide whether to take the new regime or not take the new regime? Correct hai? If they want to decide that they want to go to the new regime, they will have to exercise the option on or before क्या due date of filing ROI, which is given under section 263(1). ये correct है? Do we also know that the default regime is old, therefore the option is basically going to new, and if they want to exercise this option, they have to do this before the due date. Supposingly they exercise the option and go from where to where? Old to new. Now what? Sir, I am asking you because we have completed this when we were doing similarities and differences. ये हो गया है. Now what? Now new regime will apply forever. Option once taken can never change. Will apply for all the subsequent years. अभी future year में before due date you do anything or you don't do anything, doesn't matter. Option once exercised will apply for all future years. You cannot change it. Anyone wondering, sir, इतना फटाफट क्यों थोड़ा slow करके? This we have done. You know what is only remaining? The tax rates and the tax benefits to be foregone. Bro, समझ में आता है? And did you realize how we wrote point 4? मतलब it is applicable to 200 के 203. Both. जो भी difference है ना, I will write under the respective section here and here. So that in the same table you have similarities as well as differences. Are you even understanding what is happening? Chalo then. Tax rates. Assessee is different. Company and cooperative society. Tax rate same है. Company का other section tax rate is different. But these two sections have more similarities. Start with basic tax. Step number 1 will always be basic tax now. 22%. Look at the way in which it is written and tell me. Please tell me. Company ke cooperative society, both. If a company or a cooperative society decides to go to the new regime, this is the applicable rate. Ye samjha? Basic tax 22%. That one formality which we have always done, let's do it again. Special rate is going to continue to be applicable. Matlab, if the company or the cooperative society has got long-term capital gain, short-term stock market, casual winning, that will be segregated, subjected to the special rate. On normal income, we will go as per old regime or new regime ka 22%. Basic tax. Let's not waste time in discussing rebate. तो क्या डिस्कस करूं? On basic tax we will add surcharge. Surcharge नहीं, compulsory surcharge. This is very important to note and understand. Sir, some time back I told you orally कि tax rate तो 25 है, orally 25 बोलता है, लिखता 22 है. सर वीकेंड में क्या कंज्यूम किया? I said 25. I wrote 22 because it only looks 22. Effectively, it will become 25.168. कैसे? Because surcharge of 10% here is going to be compulsory. Normally, सुनना ध्यान से, income tax में surcharge comes when your income crosses a certain threshold. ओल्ड रेजिम में इंडिविजुअल आफ्टर 50 lakhs, कंपनीज, फर्म्स, कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी, ऑल ऑफ देम आफ्टर 1 crore. अरे कम ऑन. न्यू रेजिम में टू हेल विद द अमाउंट ऑफ इनकम, मित्रों, irrespective of amount of income, the new regime का surcharge is always going to be flat rate of 10%. 1 rupee का इनकम के 1 crore का इनकम 22 plus 10, and after adding 10% surcharge. I don't want to write compulsory and unnecessarily confuse you. It is always compulsory, always fixed across regime, across assessing. You only tell me the rate. So 22 plus 10 plus सर ये तो 36 हो रहा है क्या 25? नहीं, चेक कर कैलकुलेटर पे. 10% will be on 22, तो 2.2, total हुआ 24.2. On that 24.2, when you add 4% HEC, you confirm for yourself, नहीं तो मेरे को तो पता ही है, 25.168% is going to be your effective rate of tax. Now suno, this is always no, because old regime में we have to check yes surcharge के no surcharge. Here it is always. तो fixed rate है 25.168. In fact, on total income you directly apply, then also you'll get the answer. All inclusive rate. Now let's eliminate one confusion. And if you are an intelligent student, you should have this doubt. Sir, we were told that new regime में rate of tax is lower than old regime. Company का old regime में rate of tax was 30%. Compare it with 13. So yes sir, 25.168. It is lower. But company का old regime में there was one more rate. हाँ, 25. 2 years ago का turnover up to 400 crore. I may or may not discuss with intermediate students this aspect. It depends on batch to batch. If some batches are worthy of discussion, I discuss. May not discuss this in every single batch that I go. Sometimes are companies eligible for 25? So 25.168. So tax rate is also higher and tax benefit also to be foregone. Sir, you started with this. Features of new regime, tax rate will be lower. 30 के comparison में it is lower. But sir, what if a company is eligible for 25? तो new regime में tax rate higher. That 25 is basic. I agree, surcharge in old may not come always, but what will come always? Oh, 4% when you add on 25, it will become 26. Check कर. This is all inclusive. और 25 basic है. And देखो, surcharge is questionable, but cess is compulsory, no? So only you add 4% in 25, no, you still get 26, which is higher than this. Or अगर surcharge है by chance, then it will still be higher. That means, do you accept the fact that tax rate in new regime is lower than old regime? 30 के comparison में तो it is clearly lower. In comparison with 25 also it is lower only because that 25 will be subjected to cess and make it 26. Surcharge will also further increase it. ये clear हुआ everyone? Now this brings us to the last and final thing. क्या sir क्या? The tax benefits that you have to be foregoing. So we had a long list of what 16-17 points. This is half. First good news. Second, most of it is as it is from there. Minor differences क्या होगा पता है? For example, scientific research का जो point था, it is as it is. But in scientific research का section, there is one extra deduction which is only for companies. So in that section we did not write, but here we will write. वैसा minor differences. Otherwise, most of it is same. मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ? Now, if I write a section number, I will preferably write only section number and not the particulars. You will not scroll the page. Try to, without scrolling the page, try to recollect. अगर possible होता है तो. The recall theory is the best way of doing it. Believe me, if from today only you are targeting, sir, I want to get a rank or I want to get an exemption, I want to get in the 70s and 80s. Direct tax normally for normal people it is like 40 आएगा and then I will cover aggregate from somewhere else. किधर by same group में IBS है. There was a time when group 2 had costing. A costing अकेला used to cover all the aggregate. Even today, recent intermediate का paper, there are so many people who got 100 out of 100 in costing. Direct tax में 2 attempts का total, sometimes 3 attempts का total may not be 100. समझा? So how will you cover your aggregate? IBS already is a burden. IDT, I completely agree in terms of size as well as level of difficulty. It is 1/3 of direct taxes. I totally agree with that. But how much will you over depend on IDT? What if it is that rare attempt where IDT is only difficult? Most likelihood तो ये भी है that May 27, November 27 direct tax paper has to be easy. They have to allow you to settle with the new act, which I also strongly believe. I am not saying it in front of November 26 students because they will unnecessarily be scared. But I know that वो direct tax में they will squeeze people this time because market में जाने के लिए learn the new act before you go. So November 26 में I think they are going to harass people when it comes to your direct tax का paper. May 27, November 27, it has to be easy. But predictions don't work with CA exams, as you are very well aware of. So to be very honest, if you want to do good in this subject, okay, we'll be writing these class notes and you are also parallelly writing. You know very well कि ये notes से revision किया तो full syllabus एकदम store हो जाता है. Then you go and practice question. First day only I told you कि question practice करने के लिए you will have so much with you that you don't need to touch anything, including ICAI का study material, because sir ICAI study material तो गीता, कुरान, बाइबल है. But what if all the questions are already covered at one place for you? So you don't have to run here and there for questions. I will do my job. अब आपको क्या करना है पता है? If you only read, you're not going to help yourself. Read, close your book. Not immediately, immediately it is fresh. Evening में, next day, after a gap of 2 days, pick up a blank paper and see how much you can write. अभी try कर. Section 33(8). If it's wrong, it's okay. If you don't try, it is not okay. नहीं, additional depreciation 33(8). But you will still not turn the page. Huh? Worst habit of a CA student. One point you get stuck. Hey, check करना. अरे exam में you don't have that privilege. IBS is open book. DT is not. So don't get stuck. Make the mistake. अभी तो क्या बोला? Scientific research. Now you should remember forever. I made this mistake. I will not make this mistake ever again. समझा? No problem. Make mistakes, that is okay. But you referring is not okay. समझा? Section 48. Tea, coffee, rubber development. ये section तो वैसे भी inter में it was not there. So in any case we have to learn this in PGBP का chapter. हाँ, लेकिन now that I am writing this list and only the section number, not the particulars, एक तो it is same from that list. And second, what is the role of this list? वो तो clear है ना? What is the role of this list? Exemptions or deductions which are tax benefits allowed in the old regime but not allowed to the company and the cooperative society. ये company and cooperative society in the new regime. समझा क्या? Next, section 49. Site restoration fund account. ठीक है, PGBP का deduction है. We will learn that in PGBP का chapter. वैसे in the old act they were section 33AB. Don't write them. खाली इसका history I am telling you. 33AB है. मतलब they were always there in income tax act, not in inter का syllabus. They were there in the final का syllabus. I swear, I am very honest. I don't speak false things wherever. I always speak true only, whether you like it or hate it. The truth is that I have not taught these sections to CA final students also last 5 years. I told them कि है section है, read if time permits. You are वैसे भी free. You have got nothing to do. Office में बैठा बैठा time pass. You read these sections. Because last time question came on these sections 2009. तुम थे? Were you? You were there, but कितना there or almost not there. You understand? Sometimes you need to be a little smart in your work. ये दो section, if you go and sit down to study, they might consume 2-3 hours to learn because so many conditions are there. Now 3 hours wasted in 2 sections which have not come in the last 16 years. Say better है you write 3 hours में 1 extra mock test paper. And supposingly वो mock test paper में you get 5 mark का adjustment on this section, these 2 sections. चलेगा, इट्स ओके टू लूज दोस 5 मार्क्स. यू चेक के बाकी का 95 मार्क्स आर यू डूइंग परफेक्टली और become perfect with respect to the other part, become perfect with international taxation, TDS, assessment procedure, ये सब PGBP, capital gain, do these topics which carry maximum weightage. There is always going to be something called normal loss. When Deepika ji said that कितना भी कर लो बनी कुछ ना कुछ तो छूट ही जाएगा, ये जवानी है दीवानी. She was talking about direct tax का syllabus. मैं मजाक नहीं कर रहा हूं. यू आर लास्ट में कुछ ना कुछ तो छूट ही जाएगा. ओके, सो you have my permission. वैसे we will discuss them when we come to PGBP, but you can skip them because they haven't been asked for the last 16-17 years. Next, अभी बोल section 45. This was scientific research. Now when it comes to section 45 का subsection 2, this is applicable only to company. So in that company वाला section they have said 45(2) not allowed. Why will they speak about this in the cooperative society वाला section? But when it comes to the other part, that is subsection 3 का clause ABC, this is donation given to, come on, third party scientific research associations, that is applicable to all assessees. So mentioned in all the sections, not allowed. So this is mentioned only in section 200, but this is mentioned in 202 also. This is mentioned in 203 also. But in all this chaos, remember, expenditure for own business will be allowed. मतलब सुनो, own business is 45(1) allowed in all the sections, old as well as new regime. Company doing in-house scientific research is 45(2) allowed in the old regime, not allowed in the new regime, but only in the company wala section. And making donations, giving donations to third parties is covered in section 45(3). That is allowed in the old regime, not allowed in new regime, and mentioned in all the sections of new regime because they are applicable to all the assessees. Samjha how they have put up sections in the new income tax act in the new regime? Okay, next. Yeah, easy. This I guess you will be able to. Specified business. Specified business. Even now, see, abhi 10 minutes ago we have finished that individual wala list. Even now, if you are not able to recollect, don't turn the page and refer to it. I want you to do this. Try karo at least. I'm not giving you this as homework. I'm not going to check your notebook. Individual ka pura list you read. We finished that list. Read today. Read twice. Read thrice. Read 4 times if required. Read it. Close your book and keep it in your cupboard. Now do what? 2 days later, pick up a blank paper. Not today, not immediately. 2 days later, pick up a blank paper and try to write. You may not be able to write all the 17, but are you able to write 10, 12, 13, 14, anything above than 10, greater than 10, I am okay with it. आप समझा क्या? Anything more than 10 is fine. And सुनो, the ones which you forget in the blank space on that paper, later on when you open your book again, red colored से copy करके. And this practice that you have done should also serve as your last day revision का document. अच्छा, ये 5 I forgot. I will not forget again. ये सब करना पड़ता है if you want to do good in the subject. Okay? Exam and real life दोनों target है. Real life के लिए we will have enough logic, but exam also is a target. We need to get marks also. समझा ना? Hello. चलो. Section 47, subsection 1. Last time we wrote only clause A. Sir, clause A क्यों? Agriculture extension. Because that is applicable to both. That is applicable to all assessees. Allowed as a deduction in the old regime, not allowed in the new regime. But section 47(1) has got one clause B also. Expenditure on skill development. वही similar है. All capital and revenue expenditure on skill development will be allowed as a deduction. This is a section in that clause 47(1)(b). They have said this deduction is allowed only to companies. So disallowed in the new regime is written only in the company wala section for obvious reasons. Skill development खाली company वाले में, clause B is only in company वाला. एक काम करो, come to individual वाला section again. What have we written? सिर्फ clause है. because clause B is applicable only to companies. Come back to company and cooperative society. Clause A के लिए we are covering both, but clause B के लिए we are covering only companies because it is applicable only to companies. Next, all chapter 8 deductions. वैसे companies and cooperative societies are not eligible also for life insurance, medical insurance. That is only for hello, वो sections were only for individual HUF. Don't tell me that you don't remember this. ये याद है? Correct है? But then there are many other chapter 8 deductions which are applicable to all assessees. Not allowed. Once again, we have some exceptions. अभी इंडिविजुअल वाले सेक्शन में यू विल हैव नोटिफाइड पेंशन स्कीम या अग्निवीर कॉर्पस फंड. कंपनी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी के सेक्शन में यू कांट हैव देम. समझ में आता है? बट व्हाट वाज द थर्ड वन? ये क्या है? ये याद है? डिडक्शन फॉर एम्प्लॉइंग न्यू वर्कमैन 80JJAA. एनी assessee covered under tax audit is eligible. It can be company also, cooperative society, anybody. Is that a chapter 8 deduction? Allowed in old can you? ये बोथ है. हेलो, नॉर्मली न्यू रेजिम में नॉट अलाउड, बट ये एक्सेप्शन. इज दैट क्लियर? देन वी हैव अ सेक्शन 147. इफ यू हैव अ यूनिट विच इज लोकेटेड इन इंटरनेशनल फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज सेंटर, you are eligible for a deduction. This section 80 LA was not there in inter का syllabus. We will discuss it later in our syllabus. अभी के लिए just like tea, coffee, rubber and site restoration, all you need to know is exception है, मतलब this chapter 8 deduction will be allowed in old as well as new regime. For now you are supposed to know only that much. इतना clear है? Likewise, यहाँ पे whatever other sections we are discussing now, section 148, this was section 80M in the old act. Again, that 80M was also not in your syllabus, so again you may not know about it. Deduction for intercorporate dividend. सुनो क्या है ये सेक्शन. Orally I would like to still tell you. One company is receiving dividend from where it has made investments. Can one company make investment in another company and become shareholder? So from that company as shareholder we will get dividend. That dividend money we are using to distribute dividend to our shareholders. So the dividend that we receive comes in our IFOS, but the dividend that we distribute is drawings. No? उसका तो that way PGBP में तो there is no deduction, but उसके लिए there is one deduction. If you use dividend received का money to give dividend to your shareholders, we will give you deduction in old as well as new regime. More details about the due date, the amount, the quantum, etc. when we do that chapter 8 वाला chapter. देखो, I have in the first class told you that we will be doing inter का syllabus last में, and you have committed that ऐसा नहीं होएगा that final का syllabus is over and then we will stop attending. New act, new sections. Secondly, by now you have realized that there were many provisions which were not in your syllabus only, but now everything is. So वैसे भी you have to. And thirdly, whatever was there in your syllabus, सेक्शन नंबर्स तो वैसे भी यू डिड नॉट स्टडी. प्रोविजन आपको कौन से सेक्शन का कितना यू रिमेंबर? सी बाय नाउ यू एंड मी बोथ नो. सो आई होप यू आर क्लियर अबाउट द फैक्ट दैट इंटर का सिलेबस स्टार्ट होएगा तो वी विल स्टिल कंटिन्यू टू अटेंड क्लास. ये क्लियर है? तो वी विल डिस्कस ऑल दीज प्रोविजंस. देयर इज अ सेक्शन 149 फॉर कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी, लेकिन बहुत केओस है इसमें. उसमें सबसेक्शन 2 में दे हैव गिवन द डिडक्शन. उसमें देयर आर मेनी डिडक्शंस नॉट अलाउड इन द न्यू रेजिम. उसमें देयर इज क्लॉज डी सब क्लॉज 2 ओनली दैट इज अलाउड. मतलब 149 सबसेक्शन 2 में मेनी डिडक्शंस अलाउड ओनली इन द ओल्ड रेजिम. इन दैट बिग लिस्ट ओनली क्लॉज डी का सब क्लॉज 2 विल बी अलाउड इन द न्यू रेजिम, which is similar to the above provision. Just like company receiving dividend and distributing to its shareholders, cooperative society में भी it is possible it has received dividend and distributed to its members. Inter cooperative society dividend, उसका there is some deduction. In the old act there was a section 80P which any which way that was also not in your syllabus. So when we will come to this we will discuss about this. Next, there is a new section newly introduced dividend income of a federal cooperative. So what is a federal cooperative? What is the dividend income? How is this dividend going to be allowed? We will discuss all of this. But do you realize abhi ke liye that employing new workmen mein we will cover both, because this is allowed for which assessee? Company ke cooperative society, both. An exception matlab in both regimes also. Hello? Unit located in IFSC can also be for both. But when we talk about intercorporate dividend, this section can be applicable only to company, and these last two can be applicable only to cooperative society. Otherwise, the structure is same only. And the last and final point here: any loss or UAD pertaining to the above. Any loss or UAD pertaining to above. इसका मतलब current year में तो you will not get, brought forward also you will not get, carry forward also नहीं, it is going to lapse. So the only big thing is the list. How to make it small? Recall theory. Go through it, take a gap, write on a blank paper. यहाँ पे you can write all the 8 points. It's a small list, and by the way, these 8 are from that list. So you should be able to write. नहीं हुआ, do it once more. Have as many attempts as you want here, so that there you don't have attempts. बहुत deep है ये. Give enough attempts. मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ सुनो. You will clear in your 5th attempt. Provided you have given 4 attempts at home, 100 marks का paper, your exam should be your 5th attempt. पक्का promise है, you will clear. Okay? Don't behave like that kid. There was a CA student who was once asked by someone, "Hey, past year paper solve किया कि नहीं?" What was the question? Exam के पहले, past year paper solve किया कि नहीं? He said, "Bro, 5 साल से exam hall में ही तो solve कर रहा हूँ." Statement का depth you understood क्या? Exam hall में जाके solve कर रहा हूँ 5 years से. उससे ज्यादा क्या past year paper I will solve? Don't behave like that, student. Make sure that you solve enough at home so that you don't have attempts over there. I will not make a stupid statement that CA exam is easy. नहीं है. We all know that. It can be made easy is the correct statement with the correct strategy, and don't just make the strategy stick to it. So you know what you have to do. The only difficult aspect is to able to memorize the list of exemptions or deductions to be foregone. देखो tax rate difficult नहीं है. Slabs for individual या 25.168 या manufacturing का भी what is coming up. It is not difficult. It is not difficult to remember that before the due date you have to exercise your option once taken cannot change. Domestic या resident. सबसे difficult aspect to memorize or to recollect or reproduce is going to be the list of tax benefits. If you try it twice, thrice, उसके बाद में you will be very, very comfortable with it. Okay? And in the same pattern, like we have studied 200 and 203, now the time has come to go and finish the last 2 sections. Section 201 and section 204. With these last 2 sections, we will finally be able to make a claim. हाश नहीं खत्म होने के बाद में हाश ही होगा, नाश नहीं. With these last 2 sections, we will be able to make a claim. कैसा claim? That finally our tax rates, whether old regime or new regime, everything is done, finished, of every single assessee. Once upon a time, introduction chapter used to get over in 2 lectures because there was only one regime of tax. Quantum has increased. If I may put it in perspective, how the quantum has increased, till 2018-19, a CA final ka batch used to get over in exact 2 months. I can tell you the date also. Here, this organization, first time I took CA, I remember the date, 12th November 2018 was my first lecture here. Life का नहीं है, life का 2010. I had 8 years experience before they called me here. And that got over on 12th of January 2019. exact 2 months. Over the last 5-6 years, the size of the act has been increased by continuous amendments. That if you observe, 2 months का batch has become 3 months, 2.5 नहीं, 3 पूरा लगेगा. 30th September, July, August, September. Size wise, it's a very, very big syllabus. Assessment procedure was 3 or 4 lectures ka chapter. It goes to 7 lectures now. TDS used to get over in 3 lectures flat. Because 194 LAIA were the last provisions. Now we have MNO, PQR, ST. TCS had only 1 subpart. TCS ke andar we had 5 subpart. 1 is abolished. Now we have 4. Now you must be wondering, sir, लेकिन अभी तो easy है ना, एक ही section में full TDS. Only one section in, नहीं, section एक ही है. In that section there is a table, and in that table all the sections of the old TDS chapter have been put. Hello. So size wise, TDS which used to get over in 3 lectures with questions, today takes 7 to 8 lectures. That much is how they have increased the syllabus. Plus, being the new income tax act, I don't want to rush with anything. At times when things are very, very easy, I will increase the speed, and I have told you multiple times that if you ever find something very fast, immediately interrupt and tell me. I probably assume that it is easy and I go fast, but you tell me if it is not. Okay? Otherwise, I am going to go slow only. Let it take the time. I want you to have complete knowledge that you can go and teach people of the neighboring buildings. You can go and teach people around. Samjha? Last 2 provisions of section 201 and 204. By the way, in the old act they were BAB and BAE. Just for your knowledge, 115 BAB, the manufacturing wala section, was introduced in 2019 ka budget, which in today's act has become 201. But first time this provision came in income tax old act 2019, and this was 115 BAE. This was introduced in 2023 ka budget. So the first batch which ever studied that section also was, bhale detail mein nahi, only the rate of tax, but that was the May 24 ka batch, because it came only in the 23 ka budget. Of course, the same provision has now been copied in section 204. वो समझा? Hello, sir. 19 मतलब 7 years ago, 23 मतलब 3 years ago. अभी क्या sir? If you know the year when this provision was first time introduced, there is something that will happen inside the section, and you'll find, understood why. The reason is that if we start with the first point, chalo, all the sections of the new regime that we have done so far, go check 202, go check 200, go check. What is the first thing that we wrote? I apologize for the technical interruption. I guess the screen, can you see the screen moving now? Fantastic. Why are you supposed to know the years? Suno dhyan se. Because if you know the year, something inside the section will become easy for you. What is the first point that we have written in all the sections? Eligible assessee. Ye first point tha na? Go check. 202 ke andar we wrote individual HUF. 200, 203 abhi to kiya. Check kar. Domestic company, resident cooperative society. Here also, first point will be eligible assessee. Ye correct hai? And ye bhi correct hai that the eligible assessee of this section and this section is different. And that's the only difference actually, because inside the section they are fully same. Only assessee is different. What is your answer of eligible assessee? Left side and right side? Domestic company, because 2 section domestic company ka. And resident cooperative society, because 2 section. Oh, wrong hai. It is not domestic company. This is a newly incorporated. Bro, newly incorporated domestic company which is in the business of manufacturing. Special provision only and only and only for manufacturers. And likewise, on the right side, we have newly incorporated resident manufacturing business wala cooperative society. So with whatever we have studied about these two sections till now in the chapter, domestic company and resident cooperative society is what you spoke. वो भी है. But what we did not discuss before was these few things that I have highlighted, if it is clearly visible to you. One, ये तो clear है that this tax benefit of reduction of 8%, मतलब just imagine domestic company A, domestic company B, one is paying 25% tax, other is paying only 17%. एक ESSE and 8% reduction. That means we are doing some real encouragement here in this business. Only and only if you are in the business of manufacturing. These organizations, both the company and the society, will help our government to achieve its macroeconomic objective of make in India, reduction of dependence on imports. This special benefit is only for people in the business of manufacturing. So manufacturing wala part clear no? And when the provision was introduced, at that time they said, we want to encourage new people to come in the manufacturing business, and for them we are creating the benefit. Listen carefully. Huh? Matlab, if you have already incorporated a company before they introduced this section and you are doing manufacturing, you won't come in this section. For coming in this section, your organization has to be newly incorporated. So no, that means if you are an old manufacturing company, so you won't come in this section. ये समझा? So no, easy बात करता हूँ. Non-manufacturing, trading business, service providers, definitely not eligible because this is only for manufacturers. And manufacturing may be, you have to be a newly incorporated organization. So if you are old manufacturing company or cooperative society, again disqualified. That means non-manufacturers, old manufacturers, को new regime, yeah, they will come here. मतलब new regime is available subject to these conditions. But if you are a newly incorporated organization, then you will come in this section. Now, before I go to the individual conditions here, because one thing you remember, the list of conditions is going to be very, very big. Uska logic hai. If the reduction of tax is very, very big, if the tax benefit is very, very big, so the condition to be fulfilled also has to be very, very big. Big list. It is possible that some of the conditions are satisfied or not satisfied. Kya ye possible hai? If some of the conditions here are dissatisfied, so will they get this massive tax reduction here? No, because condition dissatisfied. So not allowed. But I will clarify here itself. Throughout the section, I want no confusion. Any of the conditions dissatisfied here may disqualify you for this reduction. But here it is only this much. So this is always going to be allowed. Of course, between manufacturers and non-manufacturers also there is 8% difference in tax, which is big. But you still have new regime. कौन सा वाला? Non-manufacturing वाला new regime you can still take. For manufacturing वाला new regime, every single condition stipulated here has to be fulfilled. One condition dissatisfied and you are disqualified. Bro, समझा? Now, ये newly incorporated will become clear to you. This organization should be incorporated on or after 1st October 2019. And you have to start manufacturing. देखो, research will be required. No, starting में थोड़ा time we are giving you. But your manufacturing operations should commence on or before 31st March 24. You can safely understand that now new people can't take entry in this. क्योंकि 24 का date they have not extended. So, जो लोग within this period they have entered, they will be eligible. What is the difference here? This cooperative society should be incorporated on or after 1st April 23 and should start manufacturing up to 31st March 24. So what do you see as difference? Do you see this difference? And if you observe, this is the only difference between the company and the society. Now you will only tell me the reason. Obviously, it will depend on which budget it came, no? समझा? Now 23 का बजट came in February. सुनना, this is also interesting to know. May not be tested in exam, but you should still know. 23 का बजट came on first of February, which came for the financial year 23-24. So start date 1st of April. But 19 was election year. 19 में बजट came on 5th of July. तो इलेक्शन ईयर में प्रोविजंस आर यूजुअली एप्लीकेबल फ्रॉम 1st of October. तो 19 वाला सेक्शन केम इनटू फोर्स फ्रॉम 1st of October and 23 वाला सेक्शन केम इनटू फोर्स फ्रॉम 1st of April. That's the reason behind the difference that you see here. And this, if it is clear to you, then I have no explanation also. That is the reason here is important. That is the reason here is important. Okay. हाँ. So if you are aware of the year in which the section was introduced for the first time, you already understand the reason and you understood the difference between election year and non-election year. Election year होगा तो 1st of October, all provisions become applicable. Non-election year में 1st of April. ये normal finance ministers का way of working है. But एक नंबर की पागल औरत, our current respected honorable finance minister brought budget in 2024 after becoming finance minister again. First of all, she did not contest the 2024 का लोकसभा election. 14 to 19 she was defense minister. Do you even know that? ये नहीं पता होगा शायद. 19 she became finance minister. Proud moment. First full-time female lady finance minister. Woman empowerment. Yes. That happiness lasted for very little time. 5 years she ruined the Indian economy. Then 2024 mein she said that I have got no money to fight elections. We said karma. You ensured that no one has money, so even you don't have money. She did not fight elections. She did not fight election. So एक जीवन में जो satisfaction 24 के election के time पे हाँ, this time you can peacefully vote for Modi ji, because the biggest underperformer is not fighting only elections. Where is the question? Election over. She is not even member of parliament. कोई tension. Then one day oath taking ceremony took place. And wild card entry. And she took oath. वो भी cabinet. Portfolios were yet to be allocated. But the image of taking oath was everywhere on the social media, everywhere on the internet. The scariest image on the internet. And only to later on find out that she is again the finance minister. Then 2024 का budget also she only gave no after elections. Hello? 24 का budget was announced on 23rd of July. अब common sense ये बोलता है that if a budget comes in the middle of the year because of election year, the provision should be applicable from half year, मतलब 1st October, which every finance minister in the history of independent India has done. But extremely respected finance minister brought capital gains का amendment on 23rd of July 2024 and said आज से applicable. And the people who gave their exam in May 25, September 25, January 26, for whom the applicable previous year was 24-25, they had to learn tax provisions of capital gain from 1st April to 22 July. And from 23rd July to 31st March, because rules were different. Every question in their exam, they had to be careful. Sale का date कौन सा है? So that you have to apply the old provisions of capital gain or new provisions of capital gain. And as a tax teacher, जिंदगी देखो. Old provision of capital gain के new provision. Old regime के new regime. Old income tax act के new. अबे when will I come beyond or out of this? I don't understand. जिंदगी has become jhand. But thankfully, you understand now the reason behind what is applicable from which particular date and the reason behind it becoming applicable. ये समझा? Now you know why I told you to learn the year from which it became applicable. चलो next. Common point है. Obviously, here there will be no MAT and here there will be no AMT. So this is, do you understand as usual? ये तो same ही है ना bro? Okay. Fourth point. We all know this. Actually, if you go and check in the previous two sections, This was, I guess, point number 3, no, optional wala. क्यों? Because we had to directly write it and not explain the incorporation date wala part. वो newly incorporated मतलब, ये समझा? Now, please understand that if there is a manufacturing company or cooperative society that has incorporated before this date as applicable, will they be eligible for these sections? नहीं. This section is for newly incorporated. मतलब old organizations या non-manufacturing organizations disqualified. Will they get new regime? ऊपर वाला section, yes. These two sections not available. ये समझा? Because these two sections give us a ridiculously low rate of tax. Let us discuss tax rates first, because a lot of logic is hidden in the tax rates. Tax benefit to be foregone, वो last में करो. But lot of logic of these two sections is hidden in the tax rate. Common है. That is the reason these two assesses are merged. Only assessee is different. Provision is same. Start with basic tax. Can you believe this, ladies and gentlemen? 15%. So an individual, oh, do you know that the moment you cross 5 lakh rupees old regime applies 20% only? The moment you cross 12 lakh rupees new regime applies 15% only. After 10 lakh or 10 lakh or 24 lakh in old and new regime respectively, you go in, mitro, 30% bracket. Are yes or no? But if you are a manufacturing business wala society, so or company, so basic tax is going to be only 15%. Irrespective of amount, matlab your income can be 1 rupee, 1 crore rupee, 100 crore rupee. Bro, 5 crore ke baad mein we have 37% surcharge. 4% says, as an individual, my effective tax rate will be 42.744. We had checked it in the last class. Abhi company ka dekho. After basic tax. Acha, by the way, ek minute, wo formality. This is applicable only to normal income. Special rate will apply as usual. After basic tax, मेरे को लगता है आज आप यही करने के लिए क्लास में आए. After basic tax, next step is, thank you Anil ji for being so cooperative. Compulsory surcharge 10%. Sir, in old regime for individual HUF, surcharge comes only after the income crosses a certain threshold. ये correct है? But here surcharge will come always. Same as above. Fix flat 10%. 1 rupee का income के 1 crore rupee का income. Fix 15, fix 10, and this requires no explanation. Fix 4. You can verify this, which is right only, but you can still verify. The effective tax rate, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be kya bro? 17.16 all inclusive. So no individual, the joke is on you. You live in a country where you cross 5 crore rupees ka income, you will be paying 42.744% tax. And in the same country, a corporate manufacturing organization, all inclusive hai, 17.16. And supposingly manufacturing nahi hai, ya old manufacturer hai, even then, the other provision, 25.16, 8% ka gap I agree. But compare it with individuals who have crossed 5 crore rupees. They pay 25, we pay 42.744. You live in a country where corporate income tax rates are ridiculously lower than personal income tax rates. Which is why people often say, okay, I will earn and give everything to you, auntie. You keep my full income, just give me the tax part. It is likely that we still get higher than what we would. Ye samjha? Effective tax rate. Now, don't compare this with individuals. Compare this with companies and cooperative societies who don't fall in this section. Ek ye cheez clear hai that to fall in this section, you have to be newly incorporated. And for both sections, dates are also clear. And that also in manufacturing business. Supposingly I am not newly incorporated or I am in non-manufacturing business, I will go in the above two sections. ऐसा नहीं है that I don't have new regime. I have new regime, but which rate? 25.168. So comparison now should be same level. Company 25.168 के 17.16. Cooperative society 25.168 के 17.16. Compared to companies or cooperative societies above, is it still a very concessional rate? So you will have to fulfill lots and lots of conditions here. Lots of conditions. एक एक करके we will learn all the conditions. यहां तक everyone is clear? पक्का? So newly incorporated, obviously new regime है, मतलब it is going to be optional. MAT AMT is not going to be applicable. Tax rates done. A lot of things will depend on the tax rate. They will influence a lot of conditions. For example, the next point which is applicable, ध्यान से देखना, only under companies. This point does not exist for cooperative society. The company should not be using a building which was previously a hotel or convention center. The company should not be using a building which was previously a hotel or convention center. एक तो this condition exists only under companies, not under cooperative society. Second, that way it is slightly illogical also in the sense that we are in manufacturing business. Where is the question of having a hotel? अच्छा, hotel is very easy. You know convention center, banquet. अरे वो functions करने के लिए hall. That's a convention center. बोलते हैं Geo Convention Center, big seminars take place over there. Convention center, auditorium, वैसा कुछ. Where is the question of a manufacturing company using a building like that? But maybe earlier it was a convention center. Now we have made it our corporate office. Possible है. In the old Income Tax Act, there was a section 80ID which has been, deleted, abolished long time back. Sunset clause, जैसे SEZ में था ना कि after this date it will stop becoming applicable. In that, companies who are having hotels or convention centers, they were eligible for tax benefit on that acquisition. So by chance वही building you are using for your manufacturing business, so we don't want to give you this tax benefit again. ये logic है, okay? But for all practical purposes, for exam purposes also, you can ignore this. वैसे भी this point is only in the company वाला section, not in the cooperative society वाला section. You can ignore this if you want. Next comes a very important condition. Extreme, one of the most important conditions in this whole sequence. What is common in both companies and cooperative society to get 17.16? You should be in the business of manufacturing. No one asked me, but the law makes it clear. You have to be only in manufacturing, and as a full-fledged clarification, you should not be having any other business. Only manufacturing and no other business. The company or the cooperative society should not be having any other business. Dekho, you did not ask me. What you should have asked, sir, can I do manufacturing along with other businesses? You can, but you won't be eligible for 17.16. If manufacturing is one of your many businesses, so you won't get the tax benefit here. So new regime, 25.168. If you want this benefit, no other business, only manufacturing. Samjha? Extra conditions are applicable only for manufacturers because extra benefit also is given only to manufacturers. Can you do other businesses? Will you go to jail? No, you won't get 17.16. You will get new regime. कौन सा वाला? 25.16. Okay. Next. The next point is How to exercise your option? First tell me the default regime. हाँ, खाली individual HUF में it is new. The remaining 4 sections it is old. Therefore, what is your option that you can exercise? Go to the new. This option has to be exercised on or before the due date under section 263(1), which is your 139(1) of the old act. Earlier it was John, now it is John, because there are 4 due dates of return filing: July, August, October, November. On or before the due date of filing return. On or before the due date of filing return. लिखा क्यों? स्क्रीन गॉट स्टक के सर बीच में कुछ रह गया, ऐसा नहीं है. I have left some gap over there because there is one thing which we haven't discussed till now. First time I am discussing with you. Are you newly incorporated? 19 के 23. Thinking about these sections only, you have started manufacturing business. 17.16 के grid में you started this. When you start your company from 19 onwards, या for your society from 23 onwards, you know that you want this benefit. So choose this in your very first return. This condition we can apply only for newly incorporated organizations. Sun. Idhar aa. But these organizations, old organizations existing since 50 years, 100 years, suddenly government is announcing new regime. But till now you have always filed your return as per old regime. Now you choose. You can stay in old regime for some years. Finish all your deductions. Then go to new regime. Because once new, forever new. Ye correct hai? But are these organizations newly incorporated? You are already aware of the manufacturer ka benefit, which is why you created an organization. So in the first return, choose your benefit. If you don't exercise the option of taking this section, that is 201, 204, in your first return, so this section will not be available to you in future. Not available. Hey, new regime. समझ लो, I start a manufacturing company. I don't exercise option in the first return. 2 years later, will I get new regime? 25.16. 17.16 चाहिए? Decide in your first return. And by the way, first return में if you decide कि हाँ, I want it, do you also know? Now you will forever be here. तो सुनो, कंपैरिजन करता हूं, confusions will be eliminated. The previous 2 sections, do you have to decide in your first return? It can't be your first return. You can be a 50-year-old organization. Newly incorporated idhar hai na. So they are old organizations. Can you still remain in the old regime? Remain. 4-5 years in the old regime? Remain. I'll tell you, knowledge ke liye I'm telling you, CBDT actually came up with a circular when new regime was announced. Guidance for all the existing companies. We recommend that till the time your deductions are ongoing, like you have additional depreciation or scientific research, please stay in the old regime. One day when you finish your deductions, exercise option before the due date, because once you go in new, you will forever be there. Matlab once new, forever new. But for these sections, are you newly created? Yes. Are you filing your first return? Yes. In that first return, क्या करो? Choose old or new. ध्यान से सुन. Supposingly first return you choose new, then only 17.16 available to you, and now lifetime 17.16, lifetime ये वाला section. ये correct है? Supposingly first return you choose old, तो 17.16 lifetime not applicable. Mark my words, 17.16 lifetime not applicable बोला, new regime lifetime not applicable नहीं बोला. 2-3 years later if you want new regime, you have the above two sections का option, you don't have this option. ये option first return you don't choose, so you can go in 25.168 later, 8% का loss होगा, समझा? So for 25.168 you don't have to decide immediately, can you decide later? हाँ, but once decided cannot change. But for 17.16 should you decide very first return? Correct है? First return में if you don't decide, hello, so you can go in old. Some years later you can go in new only 25.16. मतलब इधर का रूल कैसा पता है? First return old तो forever old, except if you want to go in 25.16, and first return new तो forever new. Once taken cannot change. वो रूल तो सेम है ना bro? You understood or no? This thing for which I left the gap, is that clear? And this rule can apply only if you are newly incorporated. Old organizations के लिए this can't become applicable. ये clear हुआ everyone? And now we have a list of other applicable conditions. Are you getting a very concessional rate of tax? So we will give you many more conditions, and you will have to fulfill all the conditions to get this benefit of further 8% reduction. 25.168 itself will lower, but further reduction. Okay, 5 minutes का break लेते हैं, then we will continue. Right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back after the break. Let's go ahead. As you are aware, last few conditions are remaining. अगर ये वाली conditions हमने कर ली, तो we get done with everything. First, क्योंकि बहुत सारा conditions है ना, तो 0.9 में मैं ABCD करके कर रहा हूं, तो it will be better for you. You will find these conditions familiar. You will feel, sir, इसको मैंने this, deja vu, ये किधर देखा है मैंने sir. This has to be a new business. New business का मतलब it should not be, हाँ वापस लगाई था. The only time you say sir, you have no doubts because you have been taught so well. You have got no issues. You only have one problem, sir. अब पता नहीं मेरे को कौन सा wire is loose today, या maybe because it is raining a lot, इसलिए there is some, ये ऐसा होता है once in a while, but it is working now. Okay, this will appear familiar. This new business should not be created by splitting up or reconstruction of an existing business. ये सेम कंडीशन था स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन में, सेम कंडीशन 35 AD का जो सेक्शन which has now become section 46 specified investment link deduction. This is not something new, it was always there. Now I will explain what exactly is happening here. समझा? Soham, which year you were born? 2005. ठीक है? 2015 में someone started Soham Manufacturing Limited. 2015 में, tell me, today is new regime going to be available to this manufacturing company? हाँ 25.168. And for that first return का भी compulsion नहीं है, you can choose it later also. Correct है? 2019 में government announces new manufacturers 8% reduction. So this guy Soham Manufacturing Limited is wondering, if I go to new regime 25.168, I will not go to new regime. Liquidate Soham Manufacturing Limited and create Soham Desai Manufacturing Limited. Transfer all assets from the old company to the new company. Same employees shifted from Soham Limited to Soham Desai Limited. Same customers, same manufacturing activity, same factory. Incorporated after 1/10/2019. We can't allow them. This was for new organization. So anybody who is amalgamating with an existing company or liquidating existing company and reincorporating it, merger, demerger, any such business, reorganization, reconstruction work, word includes everything. Any such a transaction is not going to be eligible. So if your question before the break was, sir, if I have a partnership firm which is doing manufacturing business existing, and after this date given here in this section, if I convert the firm into a company, so incorporation is after 11019, disqualified existing business. So this company, Soham Desai, yeah, this firm which has now converted into company, isko new regime 25.168. Now you understand, newly incorporated का people will misuse, तो उसको resolve करने का style ये clear हुआ. This is also something that is tried and tested for you. Is this a new business? For this new business, will you be acquiring plant and machinery? The plant and machinery should be new plant and machinery. Previously owned, previously used plant and machinery is not going to be eligible. You will not be eligible if you are using second hand. But some of the manufacturing businesses are complicated that their machinery is not available only in India. And unfortunately, because of lack of availability in India, we have to import the machine. Imported machine means foreign currency payment. Foreign currency matlab expensive machinery. How to reduce cost? Second hand. But then second hand disqualified, na? New plant and machinery. Ladies and gentlemen, second hand imported. वापस अटका? हाँ, yes. करता हूँ ना. Alarm clock. Second hand imported is going to be considered as new. The same 35 AD में we have studied. Second hand imported will be new. So very quickly, new local, allowed ke not allowed? New local, new everything is allowed. New imported, allowed. Second hand imported, second hand, it is considered as new. That means what is only not allowed till now? Second hand local. Second hand local also allowed. ये सारे मिलके हमको पागल बना रहे. बिक गई है गवर्नमेंट. यस सर, तो व्हाट इज नॉट, सुन लेट मी कंप्लीट. Second hand local will be allowed if it is up to 20%. आया, याद आया? Second hand local will be allowed if it is up to 20% of your total plant and machinery. If it is up to 20% of your total plant and machinery. Now you remember this same condition. Old Act to New Act they have copied. मतलब new local, new imported, no problem. Second hand imported is also considered as new only. Where is the restriction? Second hand local. Ordinarily it is not allowed, but to make it be allowed, it has to be not exceeding 20%. I will give you two examples, which I have been giving since many years to enter as well as final students. And with these two examples, you will remember this provision till your next birth. By chance, agar your CA is still going on, तो भरोसा नहीं है. CA can go on till the next birth also. चल बोल. New local 10 lakh allowed के नहीं. 20% का लिमिट ना allowed. Second hand imported 5 lakhs, 3 lakhs. Second hand imported 5 lakh and 3 lakh. ये second hand है. Allowed है. 20% का लिमिट not applicable without checking anything. Allowed. Second hand local ordinarily is not allowed, but go and check the quantum. Example 1 3 lakh, example 2 5 lakh. Now someone help me with what is the total. 18. What is 20% of this total? 3.6. इस केस 1 में it is within limit, तो allowed, but केस 2 में not allowed. अभी समझा? हेलो. Second and local up to 20%. Special economic zone, same condition. 35 AD, same condition. You will see many sections across your syllabus, same two conditions, not splitting up and reconstruction wala condition. And henceforth, whichever section, for example, I do special economic zone ka chapter, I will write one line, maximum second hand local plant and machinery should be total, or 20% of total. Explanation while doing introduction ka chapter, tax rates ke andar I have already covered this. Abhi samjha? Hello? The two examples? Very good. Next. Are we supposed to be in manufacturing business to be eligible? Pakka? But they have been a little rigid here with respect to your manufacturing ka definition. They have said the definition of manufacturing will exclude the following. Following activities will not be considered as manufacturing. You probably are thinking, hey sir, I have made a new product, so I should get the benefit. But following activities have been expressly declared as disqualified activities. And certain things need to be disqualified. नहीं तो क्या होएगा? What profession आए? Teaching. CA? CA भी है. CA firm है. If someone asks me कि ये benefit चाहिए क्या? हाँ. What are you manufacturing? CA. Certain activities are obviously supposed to be excluded. क्या? If you are doing development of software. Now, what is this guy claiming? Sir, I am manufacturing something. What is that something? Software. Not eligible. So, if I am manufacturing software, 25.168. Remember, every time I dissatisfy any condition here, does not mean I will go to jail. Dissatisfaction of condition here का meaning or impact is what? 17.16 not allowed. In fact, 25.168 you can still take. ये समझा? Next, the activity of mining. You know, extraction activities, mining, stone mining, coal mining, any kind of activity where you are extracting natural resources is not going to be considered as manufacturing, because let us remind you that you are not making this product, you are only extracting this product from the natural resources available. So mining का कोई भी activity is going to be disqualified. Next, conversion of marble blocks into slabs. English. Conversion of marble blocks into slabs. You know, stone is extracted with natural resources, mining only. So mining वैसे भी disqualified. But after mining, what do we do? The stone that is extracted, you know, abhi you must be knowing what is happening at Aravali range. They have declared it as non-pahad wala area. What nonsense is going on? But वहां से we are extracting stones. The stones that you extract from the mountains cannot be directly put up as your wall ka tiles. That has to be cut into the size of tiles. No? उसको बोलते slabs. Block को converted into slabs. Input is stone. Process is cutting. Output is that tile. Input, output different. मतलब there were people who tried to claim that this is manufacturing. We hereby make it clear. You might be calling it manufacturing for whatever reason. For the benefit of reduction in tax, it is not going to be considered as manufacturing. What is the ongoing list? The following activities will not be considered as manufacturing. In other words, you will not be eligible for the tax benefit. ये समझा? Next, bottling of gas into cylinder. वापस गया? हाँ, मेरे को लगता है you have become the monitor of the class. Bottling of gas into cylinder. LPG सुना है? You cook food and eat ना, क्या ऐसे पेट से घास तोड़ के. You know what? Inside the cylinder it is liquid gas. But when you open the knob, वो liquid gas नहीं, मतलब it is liquid. When you open the knob, it is gas. पता है? So basically that gas is converted into liquid before putting in the cylinder. Whether Bharat Gas or HP, whichever company you are using, that is not going to be considered as manufacturing. Next, printing of books. You must be wondering, sir, ये कैसे मैन्युफैक्चर होता है? मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का डेफिनेशन इज व्हाट? इनपुट, प्रोसेस, आउटपुट. इनपुट आउटपुट डिफरेंट. इनपुट इज पेपर, आउटपुट इज बुक्स. डिफरेंट आइडेंटिटी. Actually, a case took place where a printer took additional depreciation. Printer है ना? And additional depreciation is for manufacturers. Assessing officer disallowed. He fought a case. He won the case. Paper and books are two different things. CBDT released a circular. We are now going to consider it as a manufacturing activity which is eligible for additional depreciation. Wait. Government created this section and said, you want to treat this as manufacturing for the purpose of additional depreciation, chalega. But for 17.16, we are not making it eligible. Yahan pe it is disqualified. So your new regime will again be 25.168. Is that clear? Sujal, who is your favorite Bollywood producer? ऐसा कोई favorite नहीं है. Because first name that comes out is करण जोहर. बोला सर मजाक उड़ाएंगे? नहीं. What does he make? क्या बोलना मत. उसने सर he has made शाहरुख खान. प्रोडक्शन ऑफ आया के अटका अटका लगा ही था. हाँ, डन. प्रोडक्शन ऑफ cinematographic films. What is he making? What is he manufacturing? Films. Movie. Never say picture. हाँ, देखो, in case you have confusion, हो सकता है इंग्लिश का प्रॉब्लम. Picture means photograph. Photograph is called picture. You don't go for 3 hours and look at a photograph. It's a film. It's a movie. What is he manufacturing? A film which is projected on a big screen. Hello? होगा होगा बेटा. But it is not going to be considered a activity of manufacture for 17.16. So all these activities, if you want new regime, what is your available new regime? 25.168. Last May, they have put a point, any other notified business. This point, any other notified, you will find in many chapters, many sections. Understand the significance of this point. Huh? Understand. Okay. I am explaining this once and for good, because henceforth, whenever this point comes, I will simply say any other notified. I have explained it to you while doing manufacturing wala provision. Supposingly this point is not there. Tum cut mat karna, it is there. Supposingly this point is not there. Hello. Now if they want to add any business in this list which is disqualified, so they will have to bring an amendment. Wait for the budget. They don't want to do that. Finance minister in the parliament is proposing to add this point. This point means, dear members of parliament, I am the finance minister. After me, whoever becomes the finance minister, we are adding a point here that whenever the sitting finance minister feels it is necessary, they can bring up a notification. Notification matlab announcement. And add here any other business if they feel should be disqualified. They should not wait for the budget. A notification means an amendment in the law without waiting for the budget. Sir, is it permitted? If this point is added, that means parliament has granted permission to the sitting finance minister. With this power, any sitting finance minister can add anything here without waiting for budget. Dekho, budget mein to anything can be done. But this point means without waiting for budget, we can change anything that we want. That's the role of this point. Any other notified in any chapter that you are going to study. But the finance minister will amend this provision without waiting for the budget. The best example of notification where an amendment is coming, not in the budget but in the middle of the year. सबसे best example and you will find it relatable and comfortable. Cost inflation index of the given year. वो बजट में नहीं था. 26 का बजट is applicable, no. 26 के बजट में cost inflation index is not announced. That will come at any time later. And I know your part-time social media knowledge and WhatsApp groups wala knowledge and your casual knowledge will suddenly bring you to conclusion, sir, मैंने तो सुना है कि sir indexation is removed, sir. So why do we have cost inflation index even now? You know, you must have heard indexation from capital gain is removed. Correct? Eh? Let me give you the bad news. Indexation is still there with a wild card entry. With one secret which most people don't know, only you will know because you are learning this law. When we do capital gains, that day I will tell you indexation किधर अभी तक exist करता है. Where is it removed? How it is removed? For which transaction it is removed and for which transaction it will continue to apply? It is still there. Short में सुनो. And for that there will be a CII announced. That is not announced in the budget. CII कब आएगा? Later, by way of a notification. Notification का मतलब amending the law without waiting for the budget in the middle of the year. Hello? Can the finance minister do this? Ordinarily, no. But if this point is added, that means parliament has granted permission. Now they can do it whenever they want. ये समझा क्या? Bro, next point. Point D and other points to be noted is going on. Hello. Supposingly you start a new manufacturing company and have fulfilled all the conditions till now. Many conditions written till now. You fulfilled all the conditions. Every single condition written till now you have fulfilled. Are you eligible for 17.16? Is it a very, very concessional rate of tax compared to, forget individuals, what normal companies are also paying? उसके कंपैरिजन में भी it is 8% low. Whenever someone starts a new organization, starting में you are always going to suffer losses. You agree with this? In economics, in finance, it is called gestation period. The time taken to become profitable. Do you agree with this? Bro, it takes 3 years of insane hard work at ridiculous remuneration for a teacher to ensure that CA final का उसका batch full हो. And there is no admission के लिए scope. ठीक है, you must be wondering that there is some empty space in the classroom. It is only because of some students being on outstation audit, some students being unwell who are watching the recording. This, makes me feel that I probably suffered some loss here because there were students who wanted to take admissions but we had to close it because the batch size was full. अभी ऐसा लग रहा है that we could have taken more admissions. Overbook flights करती है ना, assuming that कोई ना कोई तो absent होगा. We could have taken more admissions. You can go and tell more people. अभी आप आज आए हो तो you can go and tell more people in your office. We can take more admissions. I will give you the same commission which I gave Aditi to recommend you. Same commission amount. That is 0. I gave her 0. Same amount I will give you also for recommending more people. So no, it didn't happen overnight. Okay, it is 3 years of hard work, and we have together proven one thing: to the whole country, to the CA final students of the country. When my information clearly tells me that wherever a CA final का physical lecture is going on anywhere in the country, the classroom presence of students is maximum 10-15 students. 20 is the upper limit. 20 से ज़्यादा physical presence in classroom in no other class. ये fact है. You can find out from your friends who are in some other class. It took some time. And do you agree कि any activity you do starting में it will take some time? तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग न्यूली इनकॉर्पोरेटेड कंपनी है एंड नॉट स्प्लिटिंग अप रिकंस्ट्रक्शन. ऐसा नहीं है कि ऑलरेडी यू आर डूइंग सम बिजनेस, फुल न्यू एक्टिविटी. विल देयर बी सम टाइम दैट यू विल टेक टू बिकम प्रॉफिटेबल? डू यू एग्री विद दिस? हेलो, फर्स्ट ईयर में दिस एसएससी इज शोइंग 10,000 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट. ही इज विलिंग टू पे 17.16. प्रॉब्लम वो नहीं है. प्रॉब्लम क्या है पता है? How? Bro, people are suffering losses. You are showing profit. How? Do you understand? This is a big question. How can you show such a massive profit in the very first year of operation? There is definitely something dark in the lentil. मतलब दाल में कुछ काला है. Can someone guess what is something which is terribly wrong here? कि नहीं सर पहला ईयर है तो क्या हो गया, एनीबडी कैन हैव प्रॉफिट, ये कोई बात थोड़ी हुई. आई एम सेइंग देयर इज सम मैनिपुलेशन दैट हैज टेकन प्लेस. वेरी फर्स्ट ईयर यू आर शोइंग 10,000 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट. कैसे गेस कर सकते हो? हाउ? ट्राई करो. यू आर सीए फाइनल स्टूडेंट, तो भाई मेरे पास तो सब क्वेश्चन का आंसर. ट्राई तो करो. सेटअप में सी वो ठीक है. माय क्वेश्चन इज हाउ हैव दे नाउ शोन दिस मच प्रॉफिट? कैसे हुआ ये? कौन है ये? इंडियन ना. Talk about taxation aspect. Is it possible that I have multiple businesses? Possible है. My businesses are trading amongst each other. Another business of mine is eligible for 25.168. Maybe another business I am running as a proprietor which is going in 42%. So their inter-business trade का price I will decide. No. Decide that price in such a way that maximum profits come in this manufacturing organization. क्यों sir? Total profit is mine only. So from my other business, if I sell here, I should sell at a very low price. Yeah, from my this business I sell there, I should sell at a very high price. Let the profit remain in this business because of the concessional rate of tax. आप ये point समझा? How people are manipulating and declaring more profit in this. एक और तो possibility है that I have lots and lots of undisclosed income. वो 10,000 crore undisclosed income. I मतलब not me, example this company. हाँ कंपनी का है. Lots and lots of undisclosed income. क्या ये possible है? Now if I offer that to tax, वो unexplained cash credits के अंदर there might be problem. So what to do? When the section was announced, incorporate a manufacturing company which is not doing any activity. Just incorporate. Make sales invoices in the name of Raju, Sonu, Paplu, Chaplu, Tiku, Pinku. Make. Show those sales in cash. Cash transactions ka whatever restrictions are there in the act, comply with them. 2 lakh rupees per transaction is prohibited. Wherever there is prohibition, comply with them. And make that cash turnover. Your taxable income. Even if I am willing to offer it to tax, I will have only 17.16. पहला क्वेश्चन ये है, have you understood the applicable manipulation here? Why are people showing insane profit in this business? Because this business is eligible for ridiculous low rate of tax. ये समझा? If the eligible business, which eligible for what? 17.16. If eligible business shows unreasonable profit, if the eligible business shows unreasonable profit, it is hereby provided that the AO has power to recompute the profit which will be eligible for 15%. The AO has the power to recompute the profit which will be eligible for 15%. मतलब सुनो, what was your taxable profit from this manufacturing business? 10,000 crore. Assessing officer says, "Hey पागल, first year में maximum you can have 200 crore. तो I will give you 15% का tax rate only for 200 crore. And the remaining profit as per blanket power given to assessing officer. What is the remaining profit? 9,800 crore. 30%. If you are trying to show unreasonable profit, we are assuming that your undisclosed income you have diverted here. So AO will decide how much profit will be eligible for this manufacturing wala 15% ka tax benefit. In case you have any excess profit over and above what the AO thinks is reasonable, so that excess profit will be taxable at an insane rate of 30%. So don't use the provision. Don't misuse. It is like offline students permitted online one. Use it. Don't misuse it. Because if you misuse, they know how to take action. Both the income tax as well as you. Example में डराता हूँ. Use it. Don't misuse it. Do you understand? If you are showing unreasonable profit, the eligible amount AO will decide. अरे सुनो, अगर 10,000 crore में AO thinks that only 200 is eligible, that does not mean that the remaining 9,800 is exempt. That will also be considered as your income and disqualified for 15 and taxable at 30. Cheating किया ना? इससे अच्छा तो you would have gone in 25.168. Cheating नहीं करते. No cheating. ये समझा? Understood? This brings a very important thing जिसके ऊपर एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन will come. Therefore, now you need to understand that the tax calculation that you are going to be doing is not going to be directly 15%. Because do you realize some income will not be eligible for 15%? कौन सा income? अरे this only the excess determined by the assessing officer. वो disqualified है ना? Correct है? So you can't apply direct 15%. How are you going to calculate your tax? बहुत interesting है, and everyone will get to learn lot of different things. Very very interesting. Observe. First calculate your entity. ये पागल, income tax is calculated on entity है ना? So tax calculation का concept will come only after income calculation is over. You agree with this? After you come to your entity, you are going to make two parts. Any guesses? हाँ, अगर 1530 बोला होता तो मरता ना. ना 1530 बाद में. Very good. First we will remove our special incomes. Special incomes will be taxable as per special rates of tax का chapter in the new income tax act is chapter 13. जैसे chapter 8 है ना, chapter 13. Long term capital gains, stock market, casual winnings. I'm speaking things that you are aware of. Because remember one thing, new regime में भी special rate is always applicable. अरे याद है ना? Hello. Now let's talk about normal income. बोल रंजन, बोल. How many parts? 2. कौन सा 2? 15 and 30. Wrong. Wrong. You know, if it was so easy, तो 3 पार्ट हो गया ना. Special rate 15%, 30%. 15 is your manufacturing का profit and 30 is excess determined by the assessing officer. ऐसा नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं, ऐसा नहीं. You will be having income under PGBP, and this can be only manufacturing, because remember one of the previous points already made it very very clear for you that any other business is not allowed on it. Only and only this income will be permitted to be taxed at 15. So no, company है, cooperative society है, salary is not possible. I agree with you. PGBP is possible, and with a condition only manufacturing, no other activity. अगर other activity किया तो you're disqualified. Perfect है, perfect है. But then there are 3 more heads of income. You're not allowed to do other business, but you can buy property and give it on rent. And forget property. You are earning money, so money will lie in your bank account. If nothing else, no shares, nothing, no FD, but at least saving account का interest तो will come, no? That saving account का interest or that dividend income, या in case there is rent, that is house property or other sources, वो eligible नहीं है 15%. 15% is only for your manufacturing activity. In fact, इसमें भी if there is any excess amount, कौन सा excess? Determined by excess amount determined by AO. That will also go किधर? वो भी 15 नहीं bro. That will also go in 30%. मतलब your manufacturing business का income is being split into 2 parts. First we remove special rate, then we came to normal. Normal में manufacturing, no other business. But then manufacturing का भी we have 2 parts. ये समझा? Your answer 15 and 30. अभी 2 more things. 1. Your short-term capital gain नॉर्मल वाला. क्यों नॉर्मल वाला? बिकॉज शॉर्ट टर्म कैपिटल गेन स्टॉक मार्केट कांट कम ऑन द राइट साइड, दैट इज ऑलरेडी कवर्ड इन चैप्टर 13. सुनना, लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन आई एम नॉट मेंशनिंग ओनली. यू नोटिस्ड आई स्पोक ओनली अबाउट हाउस प्रॉपर्टी एंड अदर सोर्सेस. कैपिटल गेन क्यों नहीं बोला? बिकॉज लॉन्ग टर्म ऑलवेज गोज इन स्पेशल रेट, शॉर्ट टर्म स्टॉक मार्केट गोज इन स्पेशल रेट, which is the only capital gain remaining which has not come till now. Short term non stock market, that will go in 22%. Short term normal will go किसमें bro? 22. अभी use your common sense, use your brain, and I know you have. ये 22 कहां से आया? How? Only manufacturing का activity 15. Everything else we are going to treat as per new regime of non-manufacturers. And new regime of non-manufacturers को जाके check कर. What is the rate of tax applicable on all normal income? सुनो, special income special rate उधर भी, but all normal incomes 22 था ना. मतलब if it is not clear now we make it clear. Only and only your manufacturing activity will go in 15%. उसमें भी excess वाला will go in 30. Every other income will go in 22. Special rate will go as it is. Only manufacturing 15. Everything else in 22. So short term normal will go kidhar? 22. Now what is remaining? Is it possible that we have क्या bro? Other income. पहले तो आप बताओ what do you mean by other income? What can be your other income? Other income can be your IFHP, income from house property. You are not permitted to have any other business, but you can have house property. Can you have income from other sources? Can you have income from other sources? बोलो yes or no? Is that your other income? Is that permitted? That income will go kidhar? All your other incomes will be taxable at 22%. 22 किधर से? सुनो, only manufacturer को we are giving the benefit of 50. Everything else will go in 22. अभी क्वेश्चन ये है, सर स्पेशल रेट यू हैव सेग्रीगेटेड, वी अंडरस्टैंड द लॉजिक. मैन्युफैक्चरर का 15% यू हैव सेग्रीगेटेड, वी अंडरस्टैंड द लॉजिक. एक्सेस प्रॉफिट बाय बुकिंग अननेसेसरी हाई अमाउंट अनरीजनेबल प्रॉफिट 30%, वी अंडरस्टैंड द लॉजिक. एवरीथिंग एल्स शुड बी टैक्स एज पर नॉन मैन्युफैक्चरर्स. So that won't be eligible for 15, it will go in 22. We understand the logic. So we have understood that here everything else is going in 22. There is one doubt which we have not understood. हाँ, अलग अलग क्यों किया? Because if you come here, ये कौन सा इनकम? House property, other sources. We will not give you any deduction of any expenditure, any allowance, and the gross income will be taxable without giving you any deduction. मतलब सुनो सुनो सुनो, रेंट रिसीव हाउस प्रॉपर्टी है, एनएवी विल बी टैक्सेबल एट 22%. स्टैंडर्ड डिडक्शन, इंटरेस्ट डिडक्शन नहीं है. आप समझा? रॉयल्टी इनकम मे बी इनकम फ्रॉम अदर सोर्सेस. For earning royalty income, can there be some expenses? Deduction नहीं है. Then we give you 22. आप समझा? You won't get any deduction against these incomes. Now you know why short-term capital gain is written separately. Because if we merge all of them and write no deduction, मतलब you are making gross sale consideration taxable, and sale consideration cannot become capital gain. Capital gain will always be calculated with formula of sale minus cost. You may not want to give any other deduction. वो अलग बात है. But you can't say cost not allowed. If cost is not allowed, पागल है क्या? How can sale consideration become capital gain? Hello. तो will we give deduction in capital gains? हाँ, transfer expense का deduction, cost of acquisition का deduction, capital gain में we will give and then apply 22. But house property other sources में we don't want to give any deduction. That is why they are written separately. नहीं तो rate of tax is 22. We could have merged. So revenue incomes में we don't want to give you any deduction. Because revenue incomes में we don't want to give you any deduction. उसका क्या किया हमने? Hello? Come on. What did we do? Separate करके 22. But capital gain में we will give you deduction. इसलिए capital gain has been separated, and only this capital gain needs to be written here, because I hope you understand all other capital gain तो will come here, no यार, here मतलब where special rate में आएगा ना, which is the only capital gain that does not go in special rate. शॉर्ट टर्म नॉर्मल, तो शॉर्ट टर्म नॉर्मल अलग से लिख दिया, हो गया ना. आर वी डन? नाउ यू अंडरस्टूड कि हाउ टैक्स कैलकुलेशन हियर लुक्स इजी बट इट इज वेरी वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. ऑफ कोर्स ये जितना भी रेट वी हैव रिटन इन दिस टेबल हियर, दे आर ऑल रेट्स ऑफ, ये बेसिक टैक्स है. इस बेसिक टैक्स के अंदर गोस विदाउट सेइंग सरचार्ज, एंड एनी कंपनी व्हिच इज कमिंग इन दीस प्रोविजंस, उसका सरचार्ज विल बी एज पर दिस प्रोविजन. ये प्रोविजन में सरचार्ज इज हाउ मच? 10% एंड सेस ऑफ 4%. इफेक्टिवली क्या होगा पता है? These incomes, ये जो इनकम है, कैन यू सी दिस इनकम्स, ये वाला इनकम विल गो एज पर 25.168 बिकॉज इफेक्टिव रेट वही हो जाएगा. ओनली दिस इनकम विल बी एलिजिबल फॉर 17.16. दैट वाज द होल आइडिया, दैट वी वांट टू गिव टैक्स बेनिफिट ओनली एंड ओनली किसको ब्रो? मैन्युफैक्चरर. ये करेक्ट है. इवन व्हेन यू आर टेकिंग दिस कंसेशनल रेट ऑफ टैक्स, लास्ट कपल ऑफ पॉइंट्स, वन पॉइंट तो यू ऑलरेडी नो, एंड अभी एक चीज समझा, that when such a low rate of tax is given, so the amount of or number of conditions that you will have to fulfill will obviously be much higher than 25.168. को now scroll करके check करो, there was no condition only. Domestic company or resident cooperative society is foregoing certain tax benefits. बस decide before the due date, take your option. First return के पहले करो कि this business के that business, कि this is manufacturing के that is manufacturing, splitting up reconstruction, 20% second and local, ये सब condition applicable ही नहीं है. That is universally available. And whenever you don't fulfill any of these extra conditions, you won't get 17.16. All throughout we have discussed, you are still going to be eligible for 25.168 is always going to be available. कोई confusion नहीं है. Guess करो what is this point going to be? Tax benefits to be foregone. I think we are doing it for the third time today. अभी ट्राई करो, एटलीस्ट ट्राई. ओके, सेक्शन 33A, एडिशनल डेप्रिसिएशन. अब पता चला, when you do the same thing again and again, you are able to learn a little at least. Section 48. The faster you speak, the earlier I leave you. देखो मेरे को खाली इतना करना है, I have to do tax benefits to be foregone, and your class for the day is over. हाँ, तो टी कॉफी रबर. थर्ड, सेक्शन 49, साइट रिस्टोरेशन किया ना, करेक्ट. नेक्स्ट, सेक्शन 45 के अंदर व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट सबसेक्शन 2, दैट विल बी ओनली फॉर कंपनी, एंड वी टॉक अबाउट सबसेक्शन 3 का ए बी एंड सी, दैट इज डोनेशन टू अदर्स. उस सेक्शन में वी विल कवर obviously both. करेक्ट है, किया ना. वी आर ओनली रिपीटिंग. सच बोलो तो इफ यू डू वन थिंग, नो, ऊपर वाला कंपनी एंड कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी का लिस्ट यू गो एंड चेक, यू विल रियलाइज एवरीथिंग इज बीइंग रिपीटेड हियर. चलो, ट्राई टू लर्न इन क्लास इटसेल्फ. राइटिंग वर्क कैन हैपन एट एनी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड? 46 मतलब कितना यू आर एबल टू रिकलेक्ट? स्पेसिफाइड बिजनेस. नेक्स्ट, सेक्शन 47, सबसेक्शन 1, क्लॉज ए के लिए वी विल कवर बोथ, बिकॉज एग्रीकल्चर एक्सटेंशन का डिडक्शन इज अलाउड टू बोथ. अच्छा, बाय द वे, अलाउड टू बोथ मतलब न्यू रेजिम में नॉट अलाउड, दैट लिस्ट इज गोइंग. ये कंफ्यूजन तो नहीं है ना एट दिस स्टेज? डिडक्शंस नॉट अलाउड इन द न्यू, पता चला सर कौन सा लिस्ट है? हेलो. एंड क्लॉज बी, स्किल डेवलपमेंट. This is going to be obviously, as this is applicable only for companies. Correct है? Next we come to point number 7. If you realize what is happening. हाँ करता हूँ. क्या है? Some people are actually scrolling the page and checking वो non manufacturers के लिए क्या किया था. तो all, hello, chapter 8 deductions. Those attending online, first of all, you are using the privilege. I hope you understand के मैं I don't want to sound bad or dirty, or I don't want to sound ऐसे strict, लेकिन आपको समझना पड़ेगा that if your camera is off, you will not be allowed in class. हाँ, all chapter 8 deductions. Now do you remember इसमें exceptions था? अभी I will not waste your time. Exceptions क्या है? Same मतलब don't go and check individual वाला. वो कंपनीज में जो लिस्ट था ना 146, 147, you remember that list? If you don't remember, 146, 148, 149 subsection 2, oh, that was for cooperative society, and 150 वाला. Full list is same. Hello? Next, that one point which came for individuals also, which came for companies above also, here also. क्या? Any loss or UAD pertaining to above? अरे ऊपर से कॉपी करके लिखना. Any, I will get this examined. It has happened today only. अभी what is the reason? Some wiring या some because of rain, some electricity, मतलब उसका cables का issue rains में होता है. And अपना those who are from May 24 batch, remember this historic thing. Remember पहला lecture we started with a power cut. या 1.5 घंटे में I had to leave you guys. याद है? कोई बात नहीं, मेरे को याद है. ओके, तो समटाइम्स इट डज हैपन. अभी क्या करूं, टेक्निकल इश्यूज आउट ऑफ आवर कंट्रोल. अपने कंट्रोल में जो करूं, एनी लॉस और यूएडी ब्रॉड फॉरवर्ड दैट इज आल्सो गोइंग टू बी इनएलिजिबल. ये याद आया क्या ब्रो? हेलो, अरे करेक्ट है. हाँ, सेम लिस्ट है, जाके चेक कर. फुल लिस्ट इज एब्सोल्युटली सेम. मतलब you learn it once, you can use it multiple times. That way, this provision is also over. Last and final thing, point G. I am not even writing it. You can write it if you want. If you think it is necessary, you may kindly write it. If any extra condition given above is dissatisfied, 17.16 cross but 25.168 tick. आप समझा क्या? लिखो. If extra conditions dissatisfied, will the assessee still get new regime? 17.16% may not be available, but 25.168% is universally openly available without any restriction. Is that clearly understood, मित्रों? हाँ, तो बस ये point formality. You want to write or no? You've understood this point. Main thing was the list of tax benefits to be foregone and all the other extra conditions. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, with this, we effectively, resultingly, finally finish our tax rates का introduction का chapter. Day 1 only I told you कि 4 lectures तक it will go, and official commencement of your interesting syllabus. Very first chapter of international taxation is the second chapter over. मतलब introduction को I am counting as a chapter because tax rates with the quantum ये big है. ऐसा नहीं कि you can ignore this. अपना first chapter official, which is total में second chapter, is directly from international tax. Minimum 6 to 8 marks का quantum comes from the chapter that I will be doing tomorrow with you guys. First chapter के अंदर there are no questions. The reason is that they are only tax rate का questions. जो ICAI study material में first chapter में they just give calculate tax on the following incomes, and I will cover all those questions in your additional question bank. खाली income के ऊपर tax calculate करना है, nothing else it is. So DTAA onwards we will be having questions. We will be starting double taxation relief in the next class. So that way it is the end of the class. Thank you very much.